Hey there, I'm Eternal. I'm an object show fan who's on a journey to know everything about object shows. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello there and welcome into Object Catchup, the series where we discuss object show episodes right after watching them. Whether they're new or old, famous or unknown, it doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, for today, I might do a wheel spin or another, but there is one thing that I just have to cover. Okay, it's been a while since it released. It's realistically never gonna show up in the wheel, but I want to watch it and I want to see it, and that is obviously TPOT 23. I've not watched TPOT 23 yet, but look, we gotta do it. Alright, it is a requirement to do. It's got, over 1 million views. You just gotta watch it, right? So that is what we're gonna be doing. Maybe we'll do a spin afterwards. I mean, we definitely will. There's not gonna be only Teapot in this episode, but like in general, this is something that's a requirement beyond the wheel. Which has currently been the kind of new concept that I'm testing out, and I'm enjoying it because it makes immense variety. It removes my bias, right? Like if any creator gets biasly covered more, it's not because of me, which is nice, and it's generally a pretty good system that I'm enjoying. But anyways, let's actually go about it. We'll talk about TPOT 23, which is the start of the Defeat 1 trilogy of episodes. So that's going to be interesting to see how it's going to go. Last time it was TPOT 22, which was an episode focusing on the eliminated contestants as they managed to escape out of their lair and to successfully drop out in reverse gravity, though. So they're falling and dying, and it's a bit of a situation. But every character is slowly converging towards the same spot, right? The fellas in the music are managing to get down, the eliminated contestants are getting in. It seems like they're all bringing themselves together, and hopefully bringing themselves together to face the adversity all together. So let's see how that's gonna go in TPOT 23, which is entitled Homeward Bound. Here we go. Alright, a little while ago, I have watched TPOT 23, or BFDI TPOT 23, Homeward Bound, and I'm not sure how to feel about this one. To be honest, I'm not omega sure. I feel like I'm maybe not the biggest fan of this direction, to be honest. I feel that they did there's a lot of decisions and a lot of things that happen. I feel like I'm not the biggest approver of. Now, I don't think this is a bad episode. That doesn't, like, to be honest, with modern people, I don't think that exists. It's too high production value for me to ever call an episode bad. And it's just wrong, like in the fact, like, to be honest, general fandom discourse has no idea how good they have it. Way too negative to Teapot. Not saying that you can't be critical of stuff, but like in general, it's all negativity, and I don't want to necessarily supply the negativity. But I'm gonna make some points to why I'm not an enormous fan of what I saw here in this episode, and I think it's that it's kind of downplayed everything at the same time, right? It's an extremely action-packed episode where, like, everything just kind of happens, right? Everything that we were kind of waiting to happen, except for, like, Black Hole, but everything, like, has kind of, like, everything that we were waiting to happen has kind of happened, and we're not really, like, witnessing a lot of it in the way that we probably should have, in the way that it's built itself up to be, right? Because, for example, by having this one just constantly chase him around, right? One, as a villain, as a character, becomes so much less scary, right? Because one that was being proper built up, was doing everything correct, right? Up until a couple episodes ago, he's now, like, just going crazy. Is now going mad, right? Because they're just chasing around and they're trying to attack, but they're not actually doing anything, right? And it's like, well, what's going on? All right, because you have all of these powers and you're not capable of doing it. Now, the episode does bring it up in a passing line, but it does bring it up in a passing line that, okay, one is apparently not just literally utilizing the powers because they don't want a repeat of 3, right? They don't want to massively hurt 3. Okay, sure, let's go with that logic. Still doesn't work. You know, like, if you have with the amount of power that one has at that moment, they could fully snatch 4, put them down, and there's nothing that they can do, right? Like, basically nothing. And, like, they could do this. They can just do whatever they want, right? Like, they could do this to 2. They could do this to any contestant. With the contestant, they can even murder the contestants. They don't even need to do that, right? Like, you can take one by one. But one isn't doing that for some reason, right? Like, one isn't doing any of that. Like, even if it's just a chase sequence, I'm sorry, you are the most powerful being in the world as of the present moment, and you can't fly faster than Ruby can run. Like, come on now. Like, it's like, you can't, like, what? You know, like, it's like, there's certain things where it's just like, I don't know what one's doing. Right, and again, a lot of it is probably intentional, right? Because we do want to intentionally downplay one a little bit, because one is supposed to be a heavily flawed character, and I understand. One is supposed to be a heavily flawed character, and you can see that there's kind of the power hungriness of one being like when you have no power. Like, I think, how to best describe it? I mean, basically the one plan probably boils down to, like, they spent a lot of time without power, so they were, like, trying to think, right? How do I do this? And they've hella planned it out, right? They planned out all the way until getting the powers, right? But after getting the powers, the plan kind of backfires, because one's plan after getting the powers was pretty much just, I'ma just overpower them. Right, like one didn't think that far ahead, right? And now that one has all this power, you're like, hold on, I'm mega pro. I should just be able to do this, just automatically, right? Well, that's not true. You still need a baseline of strategy, or at least something. Yeah, you can't just blitzo in because it's not gonna work, right? It's like just blitzo in. It's not working, especially when you have Lai there, who is just as powerful as Lai wants to be at any given moment. You know, like, Lai's power is, like, you know, I mean, even looking at the comments, a lot of people are saying there's a shit ton of plot armor. Yeah, especially with a character like Lai, is like, sure. Like, there's like 3 times we use the getaway card of Lai saves them. You know, it ends up being a little bit like, okay. But, like, it's, like, I understand, but at the same time, I don't know if that's how I would have done it, you know? Like, I understand that, you know, one's a flawed villain and is getting more impatient with it and just wants to blitz it in there and doesn't want to play smart anymore, right? But I don't know, I would have just kind of done that, because it just downplays one so heavily, right? Because, like, you think about, like, how after TPOT 20 defeating one felt as a concept, right? Or, like, after TPOT 19 or whatever, and, like, it felt so daunting, right? But, like, now it doesn't feel that daunting to defeat one, right? Because defeating one now is probably just down to Lai giving a very strong punch. You know, like, there's probably, like, it's probably not down that much, right? And one appears so much, like, he's getting so little. And again, even then, a spaceship is flying faster than one at any given moment. Like, you could just, like, can't you just fetch it? You just stop and use your powers, hold it together, bring it to the moon, like, do anything, you know? But, like, no. It ain't be working. It ain't be working, okay? And this is both one's fault, but it's difficult, because sometimes, like, it being one's fault kind of reflects a bit on the writing, right? When it's alpha. So that's of course the first thing that I feel like wasn't maybe the best, right? It downplays 1 quite a bit, and 1 now feels so much less threatening after this episode, right? But then it goes for 3. To be honest, like after that 3, like that 3 interaction after it was heavily anticipated that it would be slow, it would be kind of there, meeting the first person for the first time in ages. Dude. It's been so long since one of them met them, right? And like instead, just the same shenanigans. It's just the same shenanigans. Just 3 being like, get out, and then proceeds to launch some attacks and shit, and then misses a couple times, and then leaves. Right? Like there's a lot of that type of battle going on, and especially paired up with the 1 battle in this episode. It's like, okay, all right, 3, I get you. At least at 3, I think is 100% reasonable, right? Like with 1, like okay, so here's what I think. With 1, I think it's fine to write the character that way. I would have written it to be a little bit like more mystique, or at least write the contestants to be a little more scared. The contestants are so not scared of 1, like they're running away because they have to run away, but they're not like fearing for their lives that much. Right, so they're doing all that, and then but at least the 3 makes sense. Like you haven't, like you've had to sit in this state for so long that you just automatically lose trust to anything and anyone, right? Because like it doesn't work. You can't trust anybody because last time you maybe dared to trust somebody and it just ended. It was just over. It was over for you, right? So it was So I understand why 3 is just pissed and just trying to get out of the world, right? I mean, like, again, a little more communication would be useful, but 3 is not going to have the patience for it. So, like, I get it. And then the other thing that kind of made me a little bit negative on this episode is the fact that with the amount of action going on, it takes a little bit too many cuts, Like, I was kind of feeling it, and it was like, there's a lot of cuts going on in this, right? And it doesn't allow any scene or any interaction to play with it at all, And, like, it's sad, because it has, like, no, like, it's incredible. There's, like, no slow scene at all. Because, like, you might think that, oh, hey, like, it really bothered me in that 3 scene. It really bothered me in that 3 scene because like 6 gets delved in to the room and we'll have the conversation with 3, but right as 3 is about to turn around, knows who it is, it cuts off and we have and then we don't see it again for another 5 minutes, and it's like, dude, or even more than 5. I don't know how long it's passed, right? And it's like, like, can't you let a moment sit there for a little bit, Like, I understand that it's fast-paced and action, it's the pace of the episode, but you can slow it down. If the entire episode is paced the same all the time, it's gonna start feeling a bit stale. It's 40 minutes, it's kind of action, right? Whether it's fetching characters, running away from a thing or anything, right? Like it's action, and it's like it couldn't slow it down for this moment. It's like 1 or 2 moments that like could have, but it really didn't. And it's like, should have done that a little bit more, right? It should have tried to slow down the pacing. It should have variated the pacing a little bit more, right? And also just kind of the thing that I mentioned in TPOT 22 is like, there's so many split paths going on between the different between the casts right now that it's almost confusing to keep track of. And I mean, like, dude, there's so many pathways like there's like it keeps cutting, and in a way it's almost reasonable because there's so many pathways, like there's so much going on. But let's actually give a run through of the episode, right? That's it. We immediately start off here with our spaceship flying. Now, again, in terms of production, it's absolutely high level. I mean, the animators do a good job. This isn't a very show-offy episode. You can tell because it doesn't have a title card. You can tell because it doesn't have a title card. Okay, sure. The feat's one thing has a title card. Wait. Am I telling lies? Wait a minute. Does this episode have a title card? Wait, hold on. I actually want to know now. Does this episode have a title card or just the defeat one? Okay, well, the defeat. Okay, technically it says part 1. Alright, never mind. The series has a title card, but not like the episode itself. Like it doesn't have like a custom one. Okay. But like but so it 50% points. But yeah, I mean, in terms it's not as show off animation. Even though there's a couple of very nice, again, especially in the spaceship flying sequences, is very, very nice. But in general, it's just kind of the standard. But the standard has gone so good nowadays. Right? That's like all right, fair. You know, I fully allow. I fully allow it, and that I will absolutely not drop down. In terms of the voice acting as well, the voice acting is all relatively solid. A couple of characters are definitely being tested a little bit more, right? Like you can like character like Grassy is being tasked with a lot more in the conversational aspect than historically Grassy ever has been. Even a character like Marker has to talk quite a lot, right? Like there's a couple of characters that with challenging voices that are definitely being there, but also the character with custom ones. Like 3 does a very good job in the voice acting. 1 does a good job in the voice acting. I mean, the voice acting is saying the word "fine" a lot, but the voice acting's pretty good. The script we've been handed is crazy, but like it's for 1, it's just saying "fine" a lot. But other than that, it's But it does a good job of giving it that emotion, and that stuff. Even Balloony again, like a lot, like VA is good. And again, animation is also relatively, it's also just solid globally speaking, right? So yeah, X tries to recover to fix the recovery center. And then we go to the beginning where we pretty much immediately, as the fellas are running away from the bugs, end up having our intro activation with the TPOT intro starting off proper early. So that's nice. And then as we end up having Lion Match complain. 2 ends up being like, yo, let's not do that. So we end up having a projector try to explain it with paper, with hand puppets. But Winner can apparently do hand puppets that are like the Mona Lisa. The hand puppets that Winner can do are like the equivalent of everything. Which, to be fair, they are pretty good. If at that point, again, like, yeah, this is fair enough. But yeah, 2 was about to tell the story of 1 to the other cast members, which is pretty relevant. 7 gets eaten away by 1. But in the meantime, the announcer and Balloony, which have just kind of been rummaging through space. I'm not sure what they're really doing. I'm not sure what they were supposed. I'm not sure what mission they're on. I like that. That's an intro. Do we know? Did I miss something? Like, do we know what they're actually doing there? Like, I know that Balloony just hopped on with an announcer that one time, right? Like, I understand, but is the announcer going anywhere in specific? Like, was there any goal? I don't know, but yeah, we fetched an announcer, brilliant, and yeah, they're noticing this as they're kind of running around and be like, okay, there's some things going on, and they're a little bit mysterious. But anyways, 2 explains the situation. And it makes it the challenge. We end up having a cake a steak, which 2 ends up hosting. Despite the difficulty, I enjoy the fact of the head spinning for the algebra brilliance being like, you know, the mathematical symbols, which of course includes multiplication, but it's relatively it's a relatively interesting thing. I don't know if have we ever seen that? I feel like we haven't. Maybe we haven't seen that because they even dwell on it a little bit. But that's a cool character trait to have, generally speaking. We also, for some reason, have this completely random scene where Fiery Jr. slaps a Marker, and Marker's face ends up people going over to Ruby. Or we just have, like, I don't know what it's. Hello, dear Ruby. Hello to you. And then that's it. That's just the scene. It's the most BFD like it's the most BFDI coded thing that TPOT might have ever done. It's just like that one type of scene, because that's the thing that TPOT doesn't do, right? Very rarely does TPOT actually do, which is delve off on a completely random gag, right? Like, have a gag for no reason other than to have a gag, right? Like, not a gag that's related to the moment, not a gag that's related to, just a gag to be a gag, right? And that is something that BFDI strives to do a lot, right? And TPOT doesn't do that, right? For as much as do it, like, even, and this is not even just modern TPOT, because I know I might let people that, oh, TPOT nowadays is angst, and it's like, whatever, okay, but like, it's not even TPOT writing is always like go check TPOT 1. Like, the amount of gags that are not related to the plot, they're just purely visual or something else. There's not that many, right? Like, there's not like it's just kind of in the methodology of the writing. right? It's kind of like that. But it dropped that scene, and it feels like weirdly out of place in a weird way in TPOT. Which is why you can't. Well, that's why, in my opinion, you can't really even do this, right? Cause like you can't even do stuff like that too much because it'll feel too off, right? Like that's kind of the thing about writing like this. Is a lot of people go like, "Oh, we gotta get the BFDI writers on this." I don't think so because there's a style though. Because for as much as there's things, you can't delve off the style too much. You can if it's mega gradual, but overall, you can't there's a certain way of writing that the season should stick to. Otherwise, it's gonna be weird, right? And this and TPOT has this style very much. A lot of people don't like the style, but it has the style. It's gotta keep up to the style, absolutely. But either way, we end up having the eliminations of the episode, which are Winner and Lie. So Winner and Lie get eliminated here. I don't remember. I predict. I don't have a clue what I predicted. I might have predicted price tag. Did I predict Lie? I think I did. I think I got it right. Maybe I'm being dumb. I either predicted price tag to get out, or I predicted Winner and Lie. It was one of them. We need to see, because Lie did have a lot of screen time, but Lie unfortunately does get eliminated. And they're feeling bad, but it does allow them to kind of channel in the black hole power. Right, that one sentence of black hole ends up getting them eliminated. Relatively close voting though, by the way. As Winner gets 26k and Lie gets 25k, but Book survives with 28k. Right. Once more, we do have, however, some absolute overpowered in the voting situation with Grassy getting 60,000 votes and Marker, at least Grassy did a lot. Marker didn't do that much and still got 35,000, which is crazy. And Marker, after the song and everything, Marker stocks are on the up, bro. It's a complicated scenario. The vote, I feel like as time's passing, the vote to safeguard is getting more and more biased. Right? I got maybe I'm wrong, but I do think that I feel like it's getting more and more easy to predict. But at least they did a relatively good job at making it not super strict this time. But the Force serves them Grassy's rice. Grassy might not be the best chef, unfortunately. But RIP to Winner and Lie. And they end up dipping off. Popo's trying to get the other fellas to help after knocking on the window. And he's pretty upset, the fact that they don't have power either, because Popo doesn't know. Grassy and the Force go over there to try to help them out. Tennis ball falls down. There needs to be a map where the characters are in the moment. Can someone do that? Can someone make a TPOT 23, but there's a map of the world and where the people are, and it's just on the side at all times? Not because I need it. It's just because it's interesting to look at. So I feel like that would be a very mobile map. Actually, I do gotta admit. Six and the other fellas are observing around. I think we do. This is it's not a Digital Circus 1 gag, right? With the David chasing around with the face. I think that's a Digital Circus 1 reference, which is kind of crazy. But I eventually also find that one of the rooms in the fort is the underworld, which we haven't seen in a while. But yeah, the underworld is going now. Six proceeds to get led by Anito over to the castle, which Six is blaming for on relatively narcissistic. And goes over to the interaction. It cuts off. We already talked about this. Lie yet again just overpowers everything, and right as X fixes the machine. However, one ends up dropping by and is pretty upset because they want X's power for some reason. And in the meantime, Winner is very bad at spelling, which is unfortunate. But hey, at least somebody's bad at spelling in the BFDI universe. At least there's somebody who's bad at spelling. The fellows are flying up. The The snowball power is attempting to get used. It gets used debatably well. Tennis ball fetches a rocket and starts flying up there with everybody. It takes a little bit of time. It ends up taking a little bit of time. In the meantime, the music fellas that dropped down in the last episode, Fiery 8 Ball, like David and Dora, end up there landing on there because why not? Because we want to do that, so we end up doing that. Again, like, it's very difficult to actually, like, you see, I'm trying to give like the description of the episode. It's a toughie. It's it's a toughie. So there's a lot that happens in this episode. I'm being tested here. Yeah, one proceeds to try to attack X. They proceed to start running away. The fellas in the underworld proceed to find Bottle and Loser, because Bottle and Loser, as the recovery center gets zapped, it glitches out, so the recovery of Loser and Bottle ends up going in the underworld, which is where Pandora and Gopal are, because Pandora and Gopal got revived but got sent to the underworld in the first initial zap, so now they're gonna try to run away that entire time. Light proceeds to decide that digging down is the best strategy to get to take care of, to escape one, which is interesting. I'm not sure if that is the correct avenue. In this case, to go underground. I mean, like, yeah, no, it's not. It's not. You want to be in the open, no? Because if you're in the open, you can dodge things more easily. Because, like, if you go underground, you're gonna, like, the fact that all of them are just pro dodgers and can jump over all of the zaps that one's doing, right? Like that, just because they're good enough that they can do that and dig at the same time, doesn't mean that that's a good idea. Right? Like that's a it doesn't mean that that's a thing that I would recommend as a situation. All right, but yeah. They end up surviving. Snowball and majority of the other fellas that were flying end up passing out. Foldy wakes up and tries to solve things, but eventually it's just kind of, at this point, has a very, very good grasp of the bell. You just kind of say it like, bring them, right? Like you just kind of inspire it, and the bell will do it, which is relatively nice, and it does end up getting everything done. Grassy wakes up again. Here you can see Grassy's sentence structure, and Grassy actually has to tell the story, which, you know, hopefully that didn't happen, because, you know, poor voice actor. Who voice actors Carrie? Is it no, wait, sorry, who voice acts Grassy? I think it's Carrie. That's what I was gonna say. In the meantime, we end up finding random things in space, such as the largest pinball machine and the largest yellow face, which, alright, that's nice. That's a very classical BFDI gag. I like that type of gag. Again, like, there can be a universe where it feels out of place because of how TPOT writing modernly is, but I like that gag. I think that's a good gag. I like that type of gag is very BFDI at its core. So I think a gag that's BFDI at its core should always try to remain. So I personally approve of that. Then they get the boot planet, which destroys the rocket and splits it off into multiple paths. So you know how people are starting to get closer together. Nope, not for long. Saw and Book and some other fellas latch on it, but they all end up crashing down at Algebraian land. In the meantime, the other fellas are dropping down. How did these people drop down? Oh yeah, they got teleported out by Snowball. I know they got like zapped down by Snowball. When Snowball was testing out their powers. Then they debate about who should die first. For some reason, Robot is just mean now. They just be like this is what happens when you live with Leafy. This is what happens. This is what happens when you stick with Leafy for. And you know, when the only interaction you've had is Leafy for a while, you start getting mean. You start becoming a mean character. All right, you know, I get it. I understand. You know, Leafy turns you into her style. But yeah, anyways, the Zeros end up going over, end up trying to explain the situation about where they are. They landed apparently in the negatives zone because the negatives exist, which are apparently some evil numbers or something. Yeah, they're hearing some. So there's some bad situations going on, alright? But yeah, Zero, who hangs out in the 15 cabin, ends up fetching a piece of the yo-yo light. Now, maybe the yo-yo light is the reason why they're evil, apparently, or at least they believe so. The first negative or something happens there, And then that's because of the yo-yo. So maybe it was misusage of the yo-yo light, because the negative yo-yo light ends up zapping the other number into turning into the negative. So maybe that's what's going on. And the yo-yo light is the problem. Tennis Ball doesn't really trust them because, fair enough at this point. Considering what Tennis Ball has seen with like 2, 4, 1, and everyone else, I think it's honestly reasonable. The other Algebraians are getting fetched up by Balloony and Announcer Spaceship as they try to understand what's going on. In the meantime, while Black Hole is just kind of adventuring around. So, look, Black Hole can't really leave, or at least probably shouldn't leave. They're in a very, for as much as they're in a relatively luxurious position of being in there. Alright, with the capability of just observing everything. So, I think they should probably stick around. Now, Black Hole is taking a shit ton of time. Because, actually looking at how long this guy is taking to do anything in there. He's taking his sweet time. But, he eventually finds the machinery that has Pencil trying to rerun. They, lash out at Icy and then proceed to retry. The world, which is interesting, but again, another scene that's okay, I would have liked this to be a bigger deal, because it's such an important scene in TPOT 19, it's such an important scene in TPOT 19 for that to happen. It's a segue, and I would have left multiple episodes just wondering, how's Pencil doing? Right, we're just wondering that. And then, since we are wondering that, it's dude, I don't know how to better describe it. It's dude, it feels mildly anticlimactic to have it be a passing scene that's 1 minute. I just like these things to be bigger deals. That's my one thing about this episode. I feel like it downplays its important stuff. It's built up certain things to be important, to be big moments, but it's not cashing it in. I feel like it's not doing it. It's not giving it a big moment, right? And for as much as there is a lot of action in Teapot, it's got to be eventful action in a way, right? The fact that it can slow, it accepted that it had to slow down, right, in certain aspects, in Teapot 20 or something, to explain things, right? It understood that it had to do that, but then, the fact that it doesn't ever try to do that here, right? It just kind of takes it full on the action, right? And again, it's too monotone. I think in action, I think that's my opinion, and I stumble a lot because I don't know if I even agree fully with myself here. But I think it's mildly too mono energy, I would have had some slower moments, at least one. I would have done something. I would have slowed it down when it needed to be slowed down, and then pick itself back up, I would have had a big moment, be a big moment, let you sit there with it, have it be an important moment, because it just feels cooler, it just feels cooler. These scenes become less relevant. Because of it, when the scene of Pencil getting taken away, that was one of the most relevant scenes, and it was talked about for ages. But this scene now of seeing the immediate subsequence of that, it's not as important, which is unfortunate, because you could cash in on that importance that scene was by giving it an important moment in an episode, right? But instead of just kind of passing by, right, which is pretty come on. And maybe they're gonna do that in the next episodes, but I don't know. I feel like they're very focused on keeping the energy high. So, I'm not sure if they are going to do that. Anyways, Foley and Snowball go over, and we end up having a song of things that they found looking around in space. I don't know if this is a song. I don't think should I try to sing this? Fine, I'll give it one try. This is what they found. Hold on. No, I can't even dare. Because I don't have the script. I need the script. Otherwise, I really offer poking hand, cookie nation David. No, I need the script. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Okay, no, we're not singing songs. But yeah, we have ourselves some illustrations, which are pretty cool. I like the illustrations. They're relatively nicely styled as well. They're pretty they're like, you can tell that they're illustrations, but they keep a lot of the character styling, right? Like, it doesn't edit them too much, which I think makes it relatively nice. Anyways, the Force tries to think really hard. Yo, you're like connected to 4 and stuff, right? So you presumably know where 4 is, maybe. And now we go back into the 6 and 3 scene. 3 again gets upset. 6 is not the best negotiator. Yeah, 3 ends up trying to kick them out. 6 ends up trying to retaliate, which of course just makes it worse. It's not the best way to go about it, but again, there's no way to go about it, right? Like, 6 didn't do the 10 out of 10 job, did like a 6 out of 10 job at trying to get 3 to understand, but like, to get 3 to understand, you would need a 11 out of 10, when that's not a number that you can realistically get. So unfortunate. Price Tag and Marker are chilling, and they end up just finding a couple of the characters that have just kind of been dispersed on random planets, right? Like, they find Rocky, they find Fry, they find some other fellas. The Black Hole Song, they find Eggy as well. Gobbler and the other fellow, by the way, are running away. They're doing that. Well, I don't even know what's the point of that scene. It's still, they're just kind of running. One proceeds to try to chase them down. They end up morphing into a couple of different characters because this is an ability that they have. But for some reason, this is the tactic that they're using. For some reason, I don't know why is it. One day is overthinking it to the omega, bro. You don't need to do all that. Bracelety ends up. Bracelety, Leafy, and Raybody end up going down to the fellas, which drop down. I like this interaction between between Pillow saying "grow up, Eraser," and then the Eraser saying "grow up, Pillow." And I also really like Bracelety. Like, Bracelety's exciteness is very cool. Also, interesting enough, Pillow actually likes the appearance of Bracelet. He smiles about it. But, Bracelet is sad that it's not Ice Cube, but, like, generally, he's so happy that it's people. But, they proceed to apparently go over to the camp. Do we get to even see them go to the camp this episode? Not really. Tennis Ball goes over to grab the Yola and immediately gets shooed off. Which, presumably reasonable, to be honest. But, this is a terrible communication in both aspects, to be honest. The fellas, the Algebraians probably don't know about his power, right? And then Tennis Ball just goes, I know, you don't understand. That thing needs to be buried deep underground, right? And then proceeds to not explain why, and that's how that interaction's gonna go. It's like, okay, imagine this. You have a really valuable thing, okay, that a lot of people want to steal, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna put it here, right? And then like, somebody comes by and tries to grab it, and then you're like, what the hell? That's like my thing. I was like, yo, you don't understand. As long as this is here, you like it's too powerful. It needs to be in a museum. And they're like, what the hell? Why? Right? But like, it doesn't explain a reason. All right, it doesn't explain the reason. It just does it. That analogy was kind of bad. But like, eventually Tennis Ball, after 15 just says back off, Tennis Ball tries no attempt at actually communicating why the yo-yo light is powerful or why it is anything, right? Like, all that 15 knows is that it's thing that make negative. Tennis Ball knows so much more, doesn't spend any of it, and instead just looks at book and goes like, we're gonna do an attack, right? So alright then, they're about to do an attack. Pen is, I like the animation on the scene of Pen getting turned into it. I like the shaking that Pen does. It's pretty cool. When having the Black Hole Song, by the way, can I sing this one? I'll probably sing one. It's the song everybody's talking about it, so I guess you got to do it. Black hole, black save me. What's happening? Yeah, I think this is Shmo Yo-Yo, right? Which is a very historic music producer on the internet, has done a lot of relevant tracks in in especially like Astif movie, right? Astif movie tracks, and Astif movie tracks are very known for just kind of this style of taking a sample and utilizing that sample as like the baseline structure of a complete song, right? So in the same way that like you can take, I don't know if Beep Beep I'm a Sheep is Shmoyoyo. I don't think it is. No, Muffin Time I think might be. But like, those songs have that same thing going on, right? Where like they have that core sample from a thing, right? So like, hey, it's Muffin Time. Who wants a muffin? Right? Like all that stuff, and then it's remixed that into a song where that's still like the vocals. And so then it's just the vocals are repeated a lot, and they're relatively uninteresting, but they're given in a catchy tune, and yeah, it's kind of applying that same logic here with the Black Hole Save Me, right? Which makes for a relatively nice song. I feel like it fits. I think it fits. I mean, it fits with Marker, especially. I feel like Marker would enjoy that type of music. I feel like Marker would enjoy that type of music, and it fits kind of thematically because it's like whimsy. You can fit it into the show relatively easy. You can see that like that whimsiness also is appealing to the crowd, right? You can tell that the people liked it, right? Like the fan reception to the Black Hole song very nice, right? Very good. So. And I personally enjoy it. I must admit, like maybe not as much nowadays. I enjoy the type of music, but like things like Muffin Time, and like those as the movie songs, like back then I was hella into those, right? Or even like those YouTuber sings. That's like the same thing. Those YouTuber sings from like back in the day, like Dan TDM sings whatever song, right? Like that's the same thing. It's utilizing samples to kind of make a song of the creator, right? But it's kind of interesting. But anyways, some more fellas end up getting fetched over while Donuts decides to go over to the door. They do go over to the door until eventually the 50... Oh, okay. Well, everyone kind of combines at the same time. So, Donut is holding off the door to the underworld. As they're doing that, 10 to 1 the other fellas stole the yo-yo light and are running over to the door, presumably. And while they're doing all of that... hold on, there's another scene cut, because, oh my god. They end up going over into the door, and of course, 3 is also fetching 6 over, and they end up going back into the hallway where they originally were, and then the Zach goes over to the hallway. 6 and the other fellas hide, and they end up kind of converging at the same spot, and the only people that don't notice the rain coming is 15, which proceeds to just be fucking dead, and the underworld people. The Zeros are, not very happy about this, but, they're not going to chase around anymore and just proceed to dip off. And I guess, I don't know, we'll find out what happens, presumably in, like, TPOT 27. But, yeah, 6 and the other fellas decide, let's not try to attack 3 anymore. That's not going to work. 6 is pretty lazy. So they end up, for now, chilling. As Needle looks outwards. In the meantime, oh no, yeah, we do actually reach camp. I'm sorry. We reach. Okay, well, look, hold on. All right, they do reach camp in this episode. They reach camp only to immediately jump down a hole. Okay, they spend about 30 seconds of screen time in camp. All right, come on now. That's like this is. I feel like this is a reasonable thing. Fanny and Leafy debate their nicest ranking. But, yeah, either way, 4 ends up having everybody drop out of their eye, or at least, X, who, tactically does that, ends up getting them back. We have the X and 4 reconciliation. X finds out where 4 was, which is the fucking moon. They're not extremely power, and 4 proceeds to immediately state that she's bad. She's power hungry. She's selfish. She's evil. Which, all true things, 4 is, of course, a lot to blame for a lot of things that have happened that are bad in this universe. But in general, in this one, 4 is correct, right? 4 is, for as much as 4, might have tortured some people here and there by giving them eternal algebra class, did not destroy the world, so... 1 is worse in that aspect. In the meantime, Balloony is helping out these other fellas, like 7, giving them the cocoa and stuff. So that's nice. And in the meantime, we're fighting 1, because one has officially found the FLS. Because after having that battle with Lie, with the murder Lie, they don't know where X and the other people are. And they also don't know where the other Algebilians are because of like what's going on, right? They were supposed to be there alone forever or something, just floating around in space, right? But this spaceship is saving them, and one gets mega upset at this and tries to attack. Yet again, for some reason, one cannot catch up to the speed of this thing. But yeah, again, the animation is extremely good in this scene, though. It's all very, very good. I enjoy the usage of the announcer to try and have an idea, because he shoots one mini laser, doesn't do anything. Okay, that's all I had. Very announcer type thing, just to break up an important scene with that type of thing. So that was nice. I enjoyed that. And then we end up going back down to Earth, and the spaceship proceeds to crash into the rift. And that's the episode. That's the to be continued. They crash into the rift. Presumably, I think by crashing into Rift, they'll enter maybe the black hole room, or like glitch out with time. I'm not like sure whether they're gonna be like my initial prediction was they would jump out of the room, or they would pop out in the black hole room, but maybe not. Maybe they rift out through time, right? And if they rift out through time, who knows where the hell they are, right? Like, because there'd be whatever going on, you know, maybe they'll meet Pencil or something, whatever state Pencil currently is doing, right? Because the past might be changing, like, who knows? And then we end up having the final thing, which is an advertisement, as Yellowface advertised the price tag Plush. So that's beautiful to see, right? Like, Yellowface doing an advertisement is one of the most symbolic things that can actually happen. Because it's so, like, it's one of, if not the biggest signal of how far we've got, right? Like, it's one of the biggest things about how far we've come, that we end up having Yellowface, who did the parody commercials back in BFDI early, right, actually have the opportunity to sell us and advertise to us a real product, you know? I think they've done this before for another product, but the fact that, like, Yellowface can actually advertise us something real, that's like actually, like, in a way, his product, because you know, like, Yellowface has as a voice actor Michael Huang, right? It's cool. It's cool. You gotta admit, like, the symbolism of that moment is very, very, very cool. And that's the episode. I was definitely, I definitely feel a little bit more negative towards this episode than I have to a lot of other TPOT episodes, because it's not quite, I feel like it didn't move me enough, you know? Like, I feel like these episodes are supposed to be the biggest deals, right? Like, they're supposed to be the big deal episodes, and then we relax from there. But, like, this episode has downplayed everyone, which means that it doesn't feel like a biggest deal. It just feels like the 40 minutes of the kind of action chasing, right? But, like, nothing bad's gonna happen. Right? Like, the amount of bad things that are actually going to occur feels limited, right? Because the plot armor is too strong. And it maybe didn't impress me, to be honest. But I'm still 100% more positive than average on TPOT, and I absolutely do think that it's in a good spot still. I mean, absolutely, it's just kind of a vision thing, right? Like, the vision is to do that. I personally would have again changed up the pacing quite a bit and made a couple more scenes significantly more important, right? And like had more build up to them, had them marinate a little bit more, right? Because it's time to do that. You're not going to do that after TPOT 25. You can do that here, right? You can do that here and only here. You can do that here. In TPOT 22, 25, you can have the big moments. Afterwards, you'll have defeated one, right? Like, there's not very long for you to do these deep moments. Or to do these super impactful moments that are going to stick forever, right? Like, you have to do them now. But it's not doing it now. It's not taking advantage, right? And I feel like it should. I think it should take advantage. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's a unique critique. Like, I haven't heard many people, like, that's what I personally think, is that it should really try to take more advantage. It should take it slower on certain big moments, right? Because it takes big moments that are even cliffhangers and it doesn't deliver on them as much because it kind of does things quick, does things too quick because it needs to do the next kind of joke scene, you know? It's like, damn, there's debatably more black hole save me in this episode than there is like the 3 and 6 confrontation. I feel like it's not got its priorities quite there, right? It's evening out the priorities too much. It's not giving anything like you're the big deal, right? That's kind of what I think. I think it should try more because it's settled into that can be the vibe. Like a TPOT 19, like a TPOT 20, it can do that moment and it works. At the end of the day, as much as some people don't like TPOT, it works. Those are iconic moments. You should try to do it. You know, you should dare more. You really should, right? But like, even with the fact that it's not doing that, it's still a good episode. It was entertaining to watch, right? It was entertaining to watch. The action was more fun, right? Like, I didn't like that. The action was relatively fun. I always like to say here at the Object Catchup that an episode that the more action an episode is, the less I have to say about it, right? Because it's just kind of action. It's impossible to really judge action, at least to my standard, right? Because like it's, you know, like they're fighting, like you can debate like the attacks that they do and stuff, but there's just a lot less to say. It's just kind of a bit more cool things to watch. Certainly, this episode is majority action. There's less for me to globally say on the episode, which means that the writing style ends up taking a little bit more. So like, yeah, that's kind of what I say. I want to absolutely reiterate it. Good episode, enjoyed it, but I think it could have been a lot better. Right? That's basically what I'm saying. Good episode, but I think it could have been a lot better. It could have really emphasized moments more, and it could have been a lot better. Now, yeah, I'm not gonna really try to get TPOT too much advice because they don't care. I feel they don't care that much. I don't know. Do they? I don't know if they do. Like, that's kind of been the drama sometimes, right? Where it's like, do the TPOT, like, do we take feedback over there at Jack and Jellyfish HQ? I feel like they don't to specific feedback, and they shouldn't. By the way, like let me just hear my address of this, because I do remember also people pointing out like drama, like Florence Chapel, whatever, saying that like it's like feedback's useless or something. When like I've taken advice in your thing from a single individual person is not necessary, right? Like, you don't need to do that, but even though you don't need to take advice from a single person, because at the end of the day, it's your thing, right? And like, they won't necessarily know as much as you. A global opinion, you should probably know, right? A global opinion, you should probably edit it, right? If everybody collectively agrees A, B, or C, or like a wide portion, you can tweak it, right? You can tweak the vision mildly. Don't tweak everything about what it is, right? Because, you know, if you try, because like it's true that if you try to appease everybody at the same time, you end up making an amalgamation that's not anything at all, right? Like, you have to make something that's not for certain people, but at the same time, like that's why, like, for example, I think that a lot of people who just like don't like TPOT because it's TPOT, right? Because it's the styling or whatever. It's like, okay, well, that's kind of useless, right? Because it's just kind of the vision. The vision is different, right? Like it's at a fundamental level. So I wouldn't say listen to that advice, but like certain like character advice, you know, about like how certain things in episode went. Like, oh, 1 was nerfed too much. Oh, Lai is too unreasonably powerful. Like, oh, like certain things, right? Like certain specific things that can be like global pet peeves. I'm not sure if those are global pet peeves. I'm just giving an example, right? Those can be more relevant, right? Like those can be good to point out. If a lot of people make that same criticism, that's good to like mildly edit it, right? But in the way that the future episode gets written. But right now, yeah, basically, if something challenges your vision, they just have a different vision, right? And like, you want your show to still have a very clear-cut vision. But in terms of specific traits, specific details, if certain things about the story itself, the specific things are disagreed upon by a global majority, I think it's reasonable to give it a look and to give it a change. So I think listen to the masses on specifics, but don't listen to the masses on everything, and don't just listen to specific people, right? To specific random people. It's what I would say, including me, right? Don't listen to me. Never listen to me. It's applies to everybody. So that's the best way that I can possibly describe that situation. About like, should TPOT listen to advice or whatever? Should Jack and Jellyfy listen to advice? Shouldn't listen to any person's individual advice. Should listen to a global feedback, right? But like, yeah, that's kind of what I think. Anyways, that's Ep.129. Mildly more negative TPOT watch along than usual, but overall, good episode. Think could have emphasized some more moments. Think it maybe downplays one a little bit too much, but overall, it was fun. It was action. It was action packed. There was a lot going on at the time, and I'm interested to see where it goes. So yeah, good stuff there on the TPOT on the TPOT side as usual. Very high production value in every piece of production, as well. And yeah, overall, good work has certainly been done. All right then. Next thing. Alrighty then, that was our TPOT chat. A little bit of a different TPOT chat than usual, but it's time to do a couple wheel spins and get ourselves back on the road. So you know what time it is. It's time to switch over to screen recording me for the wheel spin that will decide what will complement TPOT 23 in this very video. Let's find out. Alright, welcome in to the wheel. We have ourselves some updates. There's more entries than before, because of course we've updated the keep ups with new creators that have dropped an episode. Adds a little bit of a detail between new things added. The characters keep up is for Battle for Anime Island, which means that the 2 requests for Battle for Anime Island were removed because requests don't count if they're from something that's already gonna be a keep up. So those have been removed for to be replaced by the keep up. There's also a new big show that dropped, and yeah, this means that there's 171 total things. We're gonna shuffle this wheel and we are gonna spin it. Let's see what is the thing to watch. The answer is none other than, let's see it, I have no idea. It's gonna be Goovananimation request. Now, what did Goovananimation request? Now, that's I don't actually know. I have no idea. We are going to need to find out. Well, look, I'm going to find out, and I'll tell you in the VO what it is that we're watching. Alright, so the series that Goovananimations wants me to observe is their own series, Object Free Time, okay? Object Free Time is a series that has so far 7 episodes. I'm not sure if it's finished, but a great voice crack from me there earlier. It's got 7 episodes spanning from about 6 to 3 months ago. None of these episodes are very long. I mean, from the way that it's called and everything, it gives me Object Full vibes. But let's see what we're actually going to witness ourselves here. We begin with episode 1 of Object Free Time according to the playlist, which is entitled Button. Here we go. Alright, that is episode 1 of Object Free Time. Yeah, we do have a roughly a full style show. It's a little bit different. It's got some charm the way that it moves. It's animated in a relatively solid way. Actually, when it has to do a movement, it does a movement in a relatively solid way. It's a little bit maybe slow. in the movements, but it does do the movements and it does them pretty well. I'm a big fan of the styling of having the characters' mouths, like the inside of the mouths, be roughly aligned with the color of the character. So like baseballs being gray and brush being brown. I think that's a very nice style. We end up having the Lucky Block sticker go to press the button until they get ripped apart by the bucket, who ends up winning the challenge by pressing the button, because the car tire or the tire swing does not have, I guess, limbs to press the button. And I don't know if they have enough. Do they have enough force on their own to be able to swing? I don't know if they do. So might be relatively complicated, but overall, I mean, I don't know. I like this cast. I like the styling. The VA is fine. You can tell there's recording on a phone, but like it's whatever. And overall, I mean, and it had a challenge where something happened beyond the character just doing it, which elevates it above a lot of this of this style of show. So overall, I'm relatively happy. Who's getting eliminated? I don't know, the dollar, because they're rich. Episode 2, Almost Impossible. Go. Alright, that is episode 2 of Object Free Time, and I mean, I like this. This is simple. It's cute, right? Like, it's a very challenge-focused show, right? Where, like, you spend, like, 90% of the time doing the challenge at the end of the day. By the way, I called the winner of the last challenge Bucket. No, they're called Pail. I don't know what that is, but it's called Pail, okay? But yeah, so Pail is what they're called, and the challenge is to apparently break that wall. We don't get to see the wall until a little bit after, when we have a montage of people trying to break the wall in various ways, and then proceeding to die. Basically, this is a fun montage, and it's pretty cool. I see, like, someone try to lick it, the other fella try to punch it, and then their arm breaks, and then like one of them tries to give them a gift, and the wall fucking murders them, and then throwing items at it, right? Like, again, movement is animated in a way where it's relatively smooth, but it's slow. I definitely, to make it feel more natural, definitely just like speed up like the entire animation by like 25%, and it'll feel more natural. But like other than that general speed thing, it's relatively nice. The characters are also relatively well stylized right now. Voice acting, again, yeah, definitely could use some work. There's not a lot of emotion on it, right? Like especially when, you know, who was talking here? It was it was like the phone, right? Like they're mad, but they're not really sounding mad. You know, there's not enough oomph to it. But like other than that, it's like it's a nice. The premise is nice, and it's getting the challenge. It's showing everybody trying the challenge, or at least multiple people trying the challenge, which is nice. Is what I really enjoy. Is seeing multiple people try the challenge, seeing multiple people do the challenge, right? And that as well, while having it, you know, be kind of animated, showcasing it, and it's a nice thing, you know. There's not a lot of narrative yet, but like, you know, we can build that in. But it's definitely something that I recommend, something like this to kind of start. Even though I'm pretty sure this is not the first like object show adjacent thing that we made. Like in terms of make something like it, this is how I'd recommend starting, right? Having like a relatively challenge focused thing. That way you get the animation skills up, and then you can add narrative onto it maybe at a later date. But like for now, it's cute, simple, it's nice, it's doing his job relatively well. The golden dollar wins because he's rich. He probably bribed the wall to go away. And yeah, I mean, overall, I'm relatively satisfied. It's doing his job pretty well. A baseball guy got eliminated, so that means that I should pick somebody at random. Let's say Lego Bricks getting eliminated. Episode 3 is entitled Not So Rich Anymore. Here we go. Yo, what a fan art. Holy shit. Yo, crazy fan art at the end there. It looks very pretty. But yeah, we have here an episode that's interesting. You can see that this one is taking a couple of writing liberties to try to write a couple of gags here and there, where we end up having Phony tell our sticker block, I wish it was sticker Lucky Block, that they're not smart. And well, no, I'll tell them very smurf, and then it just turned into a smurf. Okay, interesting gag. Then again, I think this show could utilize some additional speed, because like that gag happens kind of slowly, and it would be more of a surprise gag if the reactions were more fast. But I'm just gonna let that go. Okay, that's the last time I'm gonna point it out. And we end up having ourselves a phony battery get eliminated, which makes sense. I guess they were being kind of mean in the last episode. I'm surprised that the votes are actually based on something. Chocolate sees them getting eliminated and are pretty sad about it because of the relations which they had, which we did not know before. Lego Brick doesn't move. Golden Dollar is going to is going to, you know, plant a plant because he's rich, but a flower on the ground tells him to give him all their money, and he does do that. To be fair, he doesn't actually protest a lot. I thought he was just gonna get allow himself to get shot, but no, he ends up asking for spare change, while Car Tire and Chocolate end up agreeing to plant a plant. Now, it's impossible to plant a plant if there's nothing anywhere, because we are in a white void, but Chocolate apparently has a potted plant that's just there, and you have to place the plant there, and then the plant has to choose you. You cannot choose the plant. So, we end up having the plant saying, I don't like you, I like Lego Brick. So then the plant goes over to Lego Brick, and Lego Brick wins because the plant chose them. That is the plot line of this episode. I mean, I get it. I mean, nobody grew a plant. That's the kind of the weird thing. But, I mean, I guess Lego Brick wins. This is the way to make Lego Brick survive. But yeah, if I'm gonna commend at least this episode for something, one thing which I am a big fan of that is actually that the show's doing is that it is having continuity. I'm actually liking it a lot. Like the fact that Pale is actually still in the hospital is cool, very important. And even then, it might actually also impact Tika, because Tika has a line where they don't know what the other fellow's saying. Made the recovering, right? Like you see how there's something interesting, and even in the post-credit scene, you can see the Golden Dollar in their poor version and Chocolate feeling bad, right? Like you can see how there's continuity between characters. We're not doing a gag and just kind of removing that in the next episode. We're doing a gag, but we're actually allowing that to be continuity for the show, which is a detail that I like. You know, it's trying certain things and gags which make more or less sense. I don't know, it's a little bit questionable, but I like the fact that it's sticking to them and it's not just retconning them in the next episode so we can have every character back together again, you know. Like I like the fact that when a thing happens in the show, it happens, you know. So yeah, episode 4 is entitled Cookie Monster. Go. Okay, but it's episode 4. So, I mean, this show's trying things. There's some interesting shenanigans going on. So, first of all, the eliminated contestant ends up being Pale because we tied votes and the host just decided so. Okay, the host was just like, yeah, no, Pale, you're gone. I want to keep Brush in there because I have writing to do with them. But you know, fair enough. We end up then forming some teams, which are called the Homers. For some reason they have names. One team is called the Homers, which is Brush, Teacup, and Lego Brick. Then we have team what was the other one called? There was Team XOXO, which won, and there's Team Donut Bunch, which is Golden Dollar and Chocolate, and then Team XOXO is the Tire Swing and the sticker Lucky Block. The challenge is to give them a cookie. Brush just starts walking off. In the meantime, the Teacup grabs Lego Brick and follows them to go to the store. Now, according to the post-credit scene, Brush at least is not going to the store, or they're not going to do something related to the challenge. I would wait, whatever, if they were, it wouldn't have worked. But like, they're going to do something, and I mean, we do have, I believe, some capacity of leaving the confines of the area. I mean, we saw Brush in one of the other episodes go be like at the hospital where where Pale was in that episode. So that's kind of interesting. There could be something going on with that as well, and also them kind of wanting to do something. I don't know, because they're apparently doing nothing because they thought it was funny. Do you see? There's things. I gotta wait for the lore to develop here. In the meantime, the actual proceedings of the challenge, Golden Dollar has their money back. Why, we don't get to know. Unfortunately, we didn't decide to write a reason, which is, you know, I would have done that because it's funnier to have a really goofy reason why he got his money back rather than to just be like, oh, you'll never know. But like, all right, and they end up ordering a cookie, and even though they order a cookie, the other team decides, oh yeah, let's just steal that. So as Golden Dollar is going to deliver it, we end up having a tire swing just pew, get an epic hit there. It's again, relatively smooth animation. It's also the loudest sound I've ever heard, bro. It's so much louder than all of the dialogue, dude. It's so much louder than all of the dialogue. And then we end up serving the box to the host. For some reason, we don't take the cookie out of the box. The sticker Lucky Block just simply serves the box to the host. It makes them eat the box, which has the cookie in it, so they end up eating the cookie. Thankfully, the host is about as smart as sticker Lucky Block. You know, Phony was right. you know, Phony was correct. And everybody else up for elimination. Brush hasn't exactly redeemed themselves yet, so I'm gonna say that they get eliminated. I'd say that Brush gets eliminated, maybe. I don't know. It depends on if the viewers believe that that Brush is going to do something of value. I'm going to predict Brush, but I don't really know. I don't know what the viewers are thinking here in the way that they're voting. Because, like, they're voting kind of weird. So we're going to go with Brush here, alright? Let's see. Let's see how it is gonna go. And I'm also mainly curious to see if this show is gonna try to do a deeper lore, or if it's gonna kind of brush it under the rug. Let's see, because it's episode 5, which is entitled Upsetti Spaghetti. Let's go. Wait, hold on a sec. What is the reason? Wait, what did Brush say? I forced Teacup to walk me and Lego Brick to the competition grounds? What competition ground? Wait, what? What does that even remotely mean? Wait, so you just... Wait, is that what you did? Wait, so hold on. You're telling me that Brush was just like, I'm going to walk in this general direction, away from everything, for no reason, and then just force them to walk back. Right? It's just why it just took a 2-hour walk, just to take a 2-hour walk back, and just tire them out for, like, no reason. Is that what just happened? That's gotta be what just happened. He just wasted their time by taking a gigantic walk to nowhere for no reason. What? Okay, interesting. Golden Data hires an assassin to do a murderino on a sticker Lucky Block and the car tire, which dies 2 times in the span of 1 episode. Yeah, I like the sticker Lucky Block being kind of like goofy, silly in the way where like the rules don't kind of apply to them. It's like they're dead, then they go hello, and then they die again. Right? Like it's kind of like there's funny gags with sticker Lucky Block. I feel like sticker Lucky Blocks where kind of the humor is shining the most. My extremely mild nitpick, the phone is showing a call responding screen, right? Because whether you pick up or you reject the call, which means that technically they weren't in a call yet, and the phone with the assassin, the song, let's say, you know, a bit of a technical inaccuracy, but no, I'm kidding. The challenge is to lighten up their mood. For some reason, Teacup is tired. Lego Brick gets eliminated. The tire swing ends up trying to sing them a song, and then they end up getting eliminated. Well, they don't get eliminated. They they don't get eliminated. They just lose because it was bad. The Golden Dollar is not capable of getting them a material thing because most of them doesn't want a material thing. Sticker Lucky Block is trying to get Teacup to do a dance, but they reject it. And then on the Got Talent stage, we end up having Brush do a magic trick, which goes, and I quote, Al-Kazam, Al-Lakazun, make happiness you. You know? And then that works. That got them to be happy. And you know, it's funny. It didn't get them to be unhappy ever. They're just still happy. Like, they're still ecstatic by this, right? Which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, like, I feel like I'll probably wait it out a little bit before commenting on the general series. But there are some interesting things about it. I'll probably wait until like kind of I guess episode 7 to comment on it. One thing which again I pointed out earlier, I still pointed out here because we're still doing it, is that I enjoy the fact that characters who are in a different state have different voting icons. So Teacup has a tired voting icon. The prediction for the day, I don't know, dollar. All right, let's because they did a murder. I don't know. Episode 6 is entitled Karma. Here we go. Oh yeah, it's the debut episode. I forgot those are supposed to happen. First of all, the eliminated contestant ends up being Golden Dollar. They admit to cheating, which means that or to admit to buying votes against Chocolate, which means that in the tie between Golden Dollar and Chocolate, Golden Dollar gets eliminated. So I actually got one of my predictions correct. I know that's very rare for that to happen, but let's go. We have the beginning gags. I'm liking the beginning gags, to be honest. I think they're relatively like the gags are written relatively nice. Like with the Rubik's Cube guy, be like, I can't solve it. Be like, let me try, and be like, boom. And I was like, oh my god, did you solve it? No. And like it's a fun gag, right? Like it's fun. I enjoy that type of gag. Quite a bit. So I do think that like it in terms of writing things that are funny, I think it's relatively nice at writing things that are funny. In terms of writing a narrative, I think it definitely struggles a little bit to write like stories, like it ends up being a little bit confused, a little bit distracted, right? So it kind of like stops doing a certain thing after a little bit, right? And it doesn't have the continuity that I was saying earlier that it was trying to have, right? It kind of ended up scrapping a lot of that continuity, which is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, we're having a debut now. For our debut here, we have some contestants. They're relatively interesting. Yet again, just like anything else, the debut suffers a little bit from the kind of slowness of how like lines are delivered, where like it runs at a very inconsistent pace. But I mean, in terms of who's the coolest here, it's absolutely the Jar of Shadows. I mean, I'll be the absolute first to say that I'm a big fan of characters that are multiple characters. So Jar of Shadows being like a mildly disgruntled fellow with thing that's constantly annoying them but cannot ever leave, otherwise they'll like cause havoc to the world. Looks like something that should join. So I'm hoping that they manage to join and be an addition to the show. But in terms of how it is as a debut cast, relatively nice. I actually enjoy it quite a little bit. Quite a bit. There's quite a bit of variety in options here, and a lot of them would be relatively interesting. So I actually like this debut set quite a bit. Episode 7, which is also, I believe, the latest episode of Object Free Time, is entitled Surprise Guess. So we are going to do that. Alright, that is episode 7 and the current last episode, well, not the last, but like, the current latest episode of Object Free Time, and we first have the debut result after our cake and steak intro, which both in the last episode and in this one, by the way, the utilization of this cake and steak intro lowers the entire bitrate of the episode for the next, 20 seconds, and I have no idea how that works or why that happens, but it certainly does do that. But we end up having the winning contestant be Jar of Shadows, indeed, join in with 5 votes. So I'm glad that people know peak when they see it. And then we have our challenge be to split up into pairs. We end up having the pairs be Sticker Lucky Block and Brush. We end up having Card Tire Swing and Jar of Shadows, as well as a Teacup and Chocolate. They each need to choose one person to give them a custom challenge, and they have to do the challenge. The first team to do the challenge of the person which they choose, even though they didn't get the real people, they got the cardboard cutout of the people, and there's a sticker on the back with the challenge. They have to do it. Alright, which means that they end up facing challenges of different difficulty. Jar of Shadows' challenge is find and eat this thing, which is a like collection of food. It's not one food, it's a PNG of a table with food on it. Okay, so it's just called like, oh, do you have this food? Like just generally speaking, which is interesting. Then they go to a store to fetch that. Brush and Lucky Block Sticker end up having to murder that man, which is right there, the green apple fella. Sticker Lucky Block doesn't want to do it because, you know, like we can't do a murder for no reason. And in the meantime, Chocolate and the Teacup need to survive a nuclear bomb, which, you know, I don't think they're capable of doing. Now, they're not capable of doing this challenge anyways, because they don't have the capability of just spawning in a nuclear bomb. So they probably can't survive it either. It's, you know, like for them, if you think about it, it maybe wouldn't be a terrible idea to go for it, because yeah, if they die, right, everybody else will also die and not be able to do their challenge, so they won't lose if they give it a go. But yeah, they won't win either, so it's kind of useless. So yeah, I would say logically just decide to bin it, because there's nothing to actually do there. At the shop, fella is has the food which is needed. However, they need $10 to do it. Now, I am unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we didn't see a usage of the shadows themselves in this episode. I thought it could have been cool if if like the jar just like unleashed one of the shadows and just be like, go get him, and it's like an attack, right? And then murder the shopkeeper or something like that. You know, that would have been kind of entertaining. But yeah, no, until eventually we apparently find out that our green apple fella, or green cherry, I don't know what you are, apparently didn't cry to a puppy commercial video, which Sticker Lucky Block, or Lucky Block Sticker ends up going like, you that cannot be, and therefore they end up numbing them, they end up eating them, and therefore they win their challenge, means that everybody else is up for elimination. It's a tough one, this one, because, like, I mean, I would personally eliminate Tire Swing, because they're the one who failed at the end of the day, right? They like, for as much as Chocolate and Teacup ended up refusing to do the challenge, they refused to do the challenge, but like it was an undoable challenge, right? When Tire Swing went to do a thing, knowing how a shop works, knowing the shopkeeper, and it didn't bring money, right? When like they knew how much things would cost, they'd been at the shop before, they literally said it, and like they failed. The Jar of Shadows was just following along, right? They didn't know that they were the ones who had to have the money, right? It was not agreed upon. So I would eliminate Tire Swing, but we need to see if Chocolate might get out due to, you know, refusing to do the challenge. And famously in Object shows, viewers that refuse to do the challenge, contestants that refuse to do the challenge end up getting disliked by viewers. So that's the current situation. And that is all episodes so far of Object Free Time. I'm relatively satisfied with that show. To be honest, I think that it's written in a relatively nice way. I like the fact that well, it is an Object Full Style show, undeniably, right? It's an Object Full Style show that is still doing its own thing, right? It's still attempting to create its own jokes in the style. It's attempting to do challenges and to do things, right? To be like an experience, right? It's not like, it's not minimum product. It's actually something, right? Like there's substance, you know? There's meat to the bone a little bit, which is nice, right? The only thing which I would absolutely say is holding this one back is, I have to just say it. I have to be, I have to just say it directly, and hopefully, you know, we can try to work on improving it. Is that the voice acting is pretty poor. I'm not gonna lie, right? Like the voice acting is slow, it's sluggish, and it's like doesn't say things with a lot of emotion to them. Now, I'm not gonna necessarily blame anybody for it. I don't know if we're a native English speaker, or if like we're like, I don't even know the age that we are, but like there's been multiple times where a sentence has been wrong or something has been misspelled. I mean, like surprise is spelled wrong in the title of this episode. You know, like I'm not 100% sure of that, but the voice acting unfortunately takes a relatively funny script even, and definitely slows it back down because like the emotion isn't there. Like the best example I could give it is the host, right? At the end of the day, this is an object full style show, right? We mean like we need the wacky host. No? Like yeah, like we need our wacky host. Like where's our animatic styled host? No. You know, where's our like 4 styled hosts? Because you know what those hosts have, that's one of the strongest parts about them, is extremely dynamic voices, right? They have extremely voices that they go, hi, Monte Carlo, right? Like they have the voices and they go fast, they speak super fast, and then they speak super, and then they slow down. They have variety, right? But like even though they have variety that complement their visual identity. What our fella does here is that they try to make this host wacky by the fact that like every like 2 frames their face changes, but like it doesn't align because they're making all these wacky faces and structures when they're not saying it in any interesting way. Like they're out here with these super wacky faces on screen when it's like the final 2 you won't make it to the final 1. You know, like it's like where's the energy? You know, and this applies to the characters as well. Other than this shopkeeper, like there's no attempt really to have the characters have a different voice than the other one. I mean, actually, or like majority of the main characters did. Yeah, like majority of the characters speak with kind of like the same voice. So there's no real attempts at making characters sound super different to each other, which is fine. But like it supplements with the fact that everything is spoken in this kind of monotony, slower way. So I would absolutely just try to put more emotion into it, put more speed into it, right? And not just necessarily say things faster, say things like with like just more variety, right? Like say things faster into slow, just like have more variety to the speed of dialogue, right? Don't make it look like you're just reading, right? Because when you read it like this, it looks like you're just reading. It looks like you're going, you won't make it to the final 2, right? You know, something like that, right? Like it doesn't work, like, you know, So that's absolutely my main recommendation. It's the only real thing because it looks relatively nice. It is written relatively nice, and it does things relatively nice. I think it just needs to do a little bit more in the voice side. So that's absolutely my thing. Good job. Work being done is good for the style of the show. It's definitely in the upper end. I enjoyed watching it. My only critique is try to improve your voice acting. Try to read lines with more emotion, more variety. Try to read them faster. When the gag calls for it, you know, try to give it more oomph. And that's it. That's it. And then you got a very good foundation to potentially develop narrative on for future things that you make. That's all that I say. All right. Alright, the wheel was relatively kind to us, not a very long section, which means that we get to spin it once more. Let's see what the wheel has in the store for us next. Yippee! See, I'm kind of excited. You see, it gives that excitement, right? Of like, what am I going to watch? What's it going to be? Yeah! You know? Alright, let's go! Alright, 170 things on the wheel now after we've removed that request, which means that it is time to spin wheel again. What is it gonna be? I am scared as usual, but we're gonna let the gods decide, and the gods had decided that it is Curb 08's MRL's request. Yeah, this is a recent request as well, because I'm pretty sure this was done in the Oz episode, and I think it's actually a request for another one of LunarNobee's things, which was I think the request that originally, because Curb I think requested LunarNobee's thing originally and then did something else, unless there's something else in the middle that I'm forgetting, but I think that's what it was. But let's see specifically what it was with my, of course, VO that is already so famous, tried and true and loved. Let's go. Well then, the wheel gods have decided. It's not been many episodes since we took a look at Ozza for about like 4 hours, but we're back here again because we are going to take a look at the final little show series, which was in fact Curb's latest request, and it is in fact, you know, still relatively new. It's only from like 2 weeks ago, which I mean, considering a lot of things are from like 4 months ago around here, it's a relatively nice wheeling there. Now, even though the request only says to watch Funny Little Show series, which could imply only the first season, I think that's a little bit dumb. So, because of the way that the current series seems to be structured, the latest thing that's getting episode is season 2. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna not watch season 3, and we're not gonna watch season 1.5 because I don't know what the status of those is. We're gonna watch season 1 and season 2, and then we're gonna do it. Okay, that's gonna be kind of the situation. All right. So we're starting off with FLS, or Funny Little Show, which begins with FLS 1, released. Good question. Let's actually find out in July 28th of 2024. Episode 1 is entitled "Is That Obama?" Let's go. Alright, that is episode 1. What the fuck? Alright. Okay, so, this is an interesting thing. It's very different style because, like, usually, right, what happens is that these shows that don't have VA take the opportunity to kind of slow it down, right? They give you more time with things. But this is an interesting inverse that we barely ever actually seen. I mean, we might have seen like one show that's similar to this from Miles. Miles is like hotel objects, very like joke oriented. But like and doesn't have VA and has text on screen. But like other than that, is like it's a rare style where like, you know, it's full of gags, but they're not VA'd gags directly, which makes for a very interesting style because like you can really see literally, I'm not even kidding, pretty much every single line in this episode, like 90% of the lines in this episode are a joke in some capacity, which, you know, considering it's called the Funny Little Show, it's living up to the name. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. So Blueberry is our host, and we have ourselves some characters. Grilled Cheese doesn't believe anything the media tells him and doesn't believe presidents are real. We have a Cookie who loves making friends and is sort of just being for friends with a bee plush, which doesn't seem omega excited, but is apparently a kid. Then we have a Pokemon trading card or something who just talks about Pokemon, I guess. We end up having our resident funny guy, Blue Square. I don't know where you're supposed to be. Then we end up having an egg which just gets shouted at and then to be like, I'm supposed to be here. So yeah, it's kind of fun. We end up having the challenge be to call the president because the president isn't real apparently. Our blue fella ends up making a video calling out the president, and apparently that works. And then also Egg just simply called Obama, yo, what's up, yo, what's good, Obama. Now I am just gonna point out this was in 2024. This means that the president was not Obama at that time, so they did not call the president. But I don't know, I feel like these shows, majority of object shows work in an alternate timeline where Obama is still the president because Obama is a funny president to that you can make jokes about, and it's not, say no to politics, kids. So we're gonna that is an interesting debate, right? Isn't it an interesting debate how like Obama is the president that is funny to meme? Is that interesting? That's kind of interesting. I feel like there could be some sociological video essay about why that is, but I'm not going to be the one to do it. So I'm going to be the one to switch over to episode 2, which is entitled "The Big Eeper." Go. Alright, more relaxed episode for sure. So, we have our great powerful, which I don't think we know the name of. They're sad, they need to be happy, and then Egg suggests, yo, why don't you be happy? So then they just decide, alright, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna be happy. Timing gags when it needs to do them, I would say are relatively funny. We end up having the elimination time. We get more, debatably more votes than Ozza, which is kind of funny. But we end up having the eliminated contestant be our little gray Powerpuff, which was happy but is not happy anymore, so proceeds to swear. And then we end up having the reaction image being like, oh my god, everybody's so sad. And then there's Mario and Luigi, which don't have a face, so they're just there. This is, it takes the opportunity to do these tiny gags, and I appreciate them a lot. So yeah, we find out that the blue square is called Cyan. Cyan is your name. Now, Cyan apparently hasn't rested in more than 4 days, which is interesting. And the B Plush allows him to join their alliance because, I don't know, pity. But they still are, of course, tired anyway, so they go to sleep. Or Mario and Luigi end up doing a flip, aka laying down on the floor, and being safe. So all I'm saying, wait, hold on, wait a minute. If Mario Luigi flip to the side and he's laying down and it counts as safe, and you telling me that when Cyan plops into the ground and he's sleeping, that is not a safety? This is rigged against Cyan, which is my favorite color, so I'm going to be rooting for Cyan. I'm calling the referee. And then Cookie also just spins and is safe. Everybody else up for elimination. I guess grilled cheese already talks, so let's say that they're out. I don't know. Let's go episode 3, which is entitled Bringing That Minute. Let's go. Alright, that is episode 3 of FLSA. So, apparently Cyan, even though they literally went to sleep in the last episode for some reason, is still tired, because they need money. I don't, what? Are you doing like a subathon? You can't go to sleep? I mean, what is the harm? I don't know, but, grilled cheese doesn't believe in money, and, Pokemon Card does believe in money because they bought a gold boat, bought a gold star, bought a gold bear with a mini gold car, they're not, and the host wants them, but doesn't, but is not allowed. Axolotl Egg. We're slowly finding out the names of the characters, with time, yeah, they're safe. As well as B Plush, which is safe, has a new asset, which, I'm not sure if I'm an enormous fan of, because it doesn't really look like a plush. There's nothing to signify that it's a plush. Now it just looks like a pixel, right? It looks like it's part of, like, fucking a mobile game, right? It's like Flappy Bird. No, it's not Flappy Bird. What's the Crossy Road? It looks like it's in Crossy Road. Now, so, like, I wish there was, like, a price tag on it that made it clear that it was a plush or something. But, yeah, there's a lot of random characters that just show up on screen for no reason. But it's still kind of funny to see them. The eliminated character does end up being grilled cheese. The universe is a hologram. You learned it right here, and the challenge is to sacrifice yourself. Our Mario and Luigi fellow, which I think is entitled "Famous First Words," is eliminated. Yeah, because Blueberry over here has no recovery power, which means that when a character dies, they just fucking die, right? So. This means that they did in fact make a noble sacrifice. I guess it was a bait to challenge, and then we end up having a debut instead. There's about 4 billion characters up for debut, and also the loudest Rainbow Ride remix. Not Rainbow Ride. It's what's the song called? It's called like Slider, right? Because the slide song is also Rainbow Ride. It's like so loud. And it's low-key too much of a banger. It's kind of distracting me. We end up having a lot of these characters who's joining. I have no idea. I mean, this is one of those debuts, right? It's one of those debuts where it's so obviously dependent on the core, right? Because, like, there's a core group of people that know these characters, and there's, like, a core group of people that have opinion on them. So, like, this, like, who wins is, I think, not really based on the average viewer. So we're gonna need to see. If I were to pick somebody, maybe Cabinet, they look kind of interesting, but, like, I don't know who anybody can realistically join. We'll need to kind of see, because we are gonna go over to episode 4, which is entitled "The Worst Day." What the hell is it called? It's called The Worst Day of B Plush's Life. Okay, episodes are definitely getting longer, which is interesting. Yeah. The next, every future episode ends up in hitting about the 4-minute mark, and I think on FLSA, which is the second season, they'll be significantly longer than that. So, it'll be interesting. I wonder if there's going to be a wheel spin after. Anyway, I'm getting shouted. Episode 4, The Worst Day of B Plush's Life. Go! Alright, that is episode 4. Another one significantly more chill because it just has to do a thing that takes a really long time, which is a debut to voting. But, yeah, see what I mean? This debut voting is not based on, the character or anything. We end up having I'm not even kidding. If you actually look based on character design, I unironically would tell you that the character who joins is the least interesting one. Literally, every other character looks more interesting than this. It's just a screenshot of a meme, right? It's just a square as well, which we already have in the show, right? We already have a square that's just a color, right? So we don't. Okay, fine. You see, it's meta reasons, that I can't exactly really give a proper eye to. But either way, for some reason, Axolotl Egg is chewing, and the cookie enjoys doing that as well. I don't think they're chewing anything. They're just chewing. They're just air. I don't know. Pokemon card doesn't like that. I guess Pokemon card never eats it. Plush is talking a lot more now. I feel like their personality has changed a little bit from the initial episodes. In the initial episodes, Plush was very prompted character, right? You have to kind of prompt them, and they'll say a couple words. They're not very spoken, but now they're very spoken. In fact, they even talk with capital letters from time to time, which is not what they were doing. So, I do think that we've changed how Plush acts quite a bit. And do I approve? Do I not approve? I don't know. I'm by 50-50 on it. As we keep on moving, Cyan is apparently, I don't know what the hell Cyan is. Cyan is some weird layer that's, that just looks like the elimination area, cause in an object pool, which, this isn't, I guess, too different from. So, for a minute, I thought Cyan got eliminated, but Cyan comes back at, the end of the episode, so, I don't know, I guess he fell asleep, You know what happens when you fall asleep? Yeah, you get sent to the shadow realm. Alright, so maybe that's why Cyan wasn't resting for 4 days. And then we end up having the debut. Again, interesting characters in the debut here. Some interesting interactions. I enjoyed the factoid that Gopal's sister is just really dumb, I think, right? According to because they say according to my imagination, and then apparently they're caught using a calculator in the debut. I think that's a fun character idea, right? To just have an omega dumb Gopal, right? Because according to my imagination, that is just a BFDI gag, right? Or in the end of BFDI, right? They say according to my imagination, 90% of Sword Islands get destroyed or something. I don't know, something like that. Which is a very, very funny subversion of expectation line. And Carrie and Michael in 2013 cooked. All right, that's all I'm saying. Windows has just come in to tell me that Windows 10 support is no longer available. That's a behind the scene. No, I don't need more time. I don't want to upgrade Windows 11. Okay, I'm sorry. We then do a little bit of an ITFT style voting parade, voting split screen. I enjoy, however, the differing of the fact that we end up having the flying apple go over to the other sliver of the screen, and then eventually running off, blue paper runs over to the other sliver of the screen where the fellow previously was, which is kind of entertaining. But yeah, our fella ends up winning. We don't even actually know your name still. We don't know your name. We're not already. Oh, actually, well, we would know your name if I read every name and kept them all in mind from the debut. But you don't understand. The character was on screen for 0.5 seconds in the debut. I can't catch a name when they say it. When it's passing by on screen, it's over, bro. It's over. It's over for you. Yeah, the challenge is to not chew so loud, okay? Just don't chew at all. Our top 3 chewers, which are Axolotl Egg, Cookie, and our new guy, are up for elimination because they did that. Me, I'm hoping that a new guy just gets eliminated because they're omega lame. They're omega lame. The amount of... They don't seem to be bringing... At least, they don't give a value proposition immediately to the show. They don't have any distinct personality or a distinct design or a distinct anything. They just seem to be right? So until they give their value proposition, I don't want him to get out because Axolotl Egg has a thing going. And the cookie has a thing going, so I'm hoping that the new fella, gets out, right? And this makes then that's just how the voting is kind of gonna go, right? Because when you have a debutante being immediately put up for voting, it's like that. That's why you can never put a debutante immediately up for voting because they haven't given the time to bring in their own value proposition, right? Which means that they're, gonna be at a massive disadvantage and if they're immediately up for voting because there's nothing they can do to compete because they've only had a minute, right, of screen time compared to the rest, right, which is unfortunate. Now, if it's a Joshua, so that doesn't matter. It's just kind of a general tip for anything, right? Just while I'm at it, right? But I know this is a Joshua and that doesn't matter. I get it. I get that. I'm just saying. All right, episodes for 5 is entitled. What the hell is it called? Is it titled Eek Crossovers? Alright, I took a break, but I watched the episode 5 of FLS, which is entitled The Eek Crossovers. So, Vluvery, our grand host, is unfortunately not here anymore. As I don't really know what's happening. There's been a month gap apparently and did not come back, which means that it's time to just keep it moving on their own. All right. For some reason, the cookie is now mean because why not? And also, I feel like a Pokemon card is even more irrationally angry about everything than they were. I mean, they were relatively impatient and angry earlier, but they weren't always impatiently angry. But now they are. So all right, we're getting some personality swap-arinos, but we're having the elimination take place from the B Plush because the B Plush found the voting results on the floor, and apparently Axolotl Egg ends up being eliminated. And by just saying she's eliminated, does she end up leaving? No, yeah, she just walks off. Okay, she doesn't get turned into stone, into pixels. But yeah, Axolotl Egg just dips, and then we end up having the challenge kind of be to find a new host. So some fellas end up having an idea to try to find a new host. Pokemon card wants to go get some Pokemon to be a host. However, I don't think they ever actually go look for them. I think they're too busy being mean about the world, being angry, yelling at a cloud, right? To actually go and get a host. So we end up having some other fellas needing to try to get a host. Actually, Cookie doesn't even try to get a host either. Although our box fella or meme fella ends up running over to try to find somebody. In the meantime, Cyan, who apparently has universal teleportation powers, is gonna bring the B Plush with them. B Plush, which is it's interesting how B Plush has evolved from being the youngest feeling one in the room, right, and being treated like a kid and acted like a kid. And has slowly evolved in a way to now being the mature one in the room, right? It's B Plush who's acting like what Cyan is doing is dumb. When just 3 episodes ago, it would have been the reverse, which is pretty interesting. They go teleport to different worlds and they find this character. Now, you might think I don't know who that is, but I'm pretty sure this is a person. Is this, let's see, do I know? I think, if I'm not mistaken, that character is Star Amy, or Star Amy Silly, or whatever it's called. I think, maybe, I mean, I don't know if that's their name, literally, I don't know if it's a self-titled, I don't know, the character might have a name that's not their name, but I'm pretty sure that's who's at least the owner of the character. So, yeah, they're over here, and they're basically trying to find a host in this world. This world apparently knows about FLS, and they need a host, so they end up asking, or fella, if they want to host. They say, I'm not a host. And even though they don't say they're a host, they'll be like, let's leave. They don't insist. Alright, they don't insist, because, yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay, why don't they insist? Because, okay, I get it. They're not a host, but they could be a host. Nothing is preventing them from being a host, right? So why don't you try to fight for that, right? Why don't we try to fight for that? Why don't you try to do some of that, right? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know why we don't do that. To be honest, I have no idea, because maybe I was like, oh, well, hosts are hosts and non-hosts are non-hosts. Yeah, but I mean, Slender Man was going to be a contestant, but is now a host who ends up being the host. By the way, spoiler, I guess. because our meme fella ends up finding them at random, and while they're running away from everybody else, from Slenderman, they accidentally signal that they want him to be the host, even though and everybody else just kind of agrees with it. Slenderman can actually talk. They talk in like internet talk. I mean, well, they don't talk in internet lingo. They talk in lingo. Right, but it's kind of biased lingo, right? There's like not that many people type lol with AWs, but like we do. So, you know, when we're writing a silly character that talks in internet, we type like that, right? Which you know, fair enough. It's supposed to be a silly little show at the end of the day. So, Cyan has failed to get a host in his upper elimination, while our Q meme fella survives. I think the Q meme fella is, you know, showcasing a couple of different things when everybody else isn't. I would probably eliminate. Well, I mean, I don't know if I eliminate Cyan or B Plush, but I would eliminate one of the two because they failed at the end of the they failed the challenge. The other fellas don't try the challenge, but if it's oh, you know, no, Pokemon card knew of the challenge but didn't go for it. No, never mind. Pokemon card should go. Let's see who's gonna go though, because episode 6, which is entitled "The Perfect Substitute." Go. Hold on, one additional detail, because I was stupid enough and forgot to say it. Hold on, new recording me to say it. I just want to say this right now because I don't know if it's gonna appear again, and I don't want to risk it. I personally, at least for me, I don't know if this is just a me thing. I heavily do not recommend utilizing songs with lyrics when we're doing a reading only show. I don't know what it is about it. I like, at least for me, it makes it significantly harder to concentrate. Because like there's two things, like there's too many things going on in the brain to do, right? Like I can do it, it just makes it tougher to do, and it's more annoying. I just want to point that out right here, because there's fucking Scott the Waz, like the border, all right. And I just want to point that out as a song. I can't believe I forgot to do it in the section. I am stupid. All right, let's go now again for real this time. Okay. Alright, that is episode 6 of FLS, The Perfect Substitute. Now, what do I think about this? Well, let's give ourselves a plot rundown. So, Cyan is gone, no longer here, right? Which is a little bit of a problem. This means that we need to find a substitute, and we have a shit ton of those debutantes from that other time, so maybe we can do some of that, right? So that's kind of the idea. But first, we're having the elimination, which ends up being a combined task between Slenderman, who has no eyes, or Slenderman. How do you know? Like, I feel like Slenderman's not the correct name, because it's like Slenderman, but silly :3 OMG, right? So we gotta find a new name. We're gonna call it Slenderman. All right, Slenderman. All right, because that's a sillier way to say it. So Slenderman teams up with our meme Q fella, who's not able to talk, which is something I picked up last episode. I didn't actually pick it up in the episode where they debuted though, because I'm pretty sure they said a meme, right? Like they did a meme sound which had vocals on it, so I thought that they could speak, but as of last episode, yeah, I have confirmed that they can't. But they could just point very harshly, and then eventually they'll find out. And this means that Pokemon card gets eliminated with like 18 votes, which is a lot of votes. So they end up dipping away, and when having the challenge, which is apparently to give me a sick cut. All right, which is interesting. But in the meantime, I end up just trying to find a replacement for Cyan, but everybody else is either annoying, quits on their own, doesn't like the show anymore, or it's too different, right? Which means that eventually, after like a couple of them, Slenderman ends up just giving up, right? They end up giving up and being like, God damn it, none of y'all, all you suck, right? Until our blue paper fella ends up recommending that, hey, look, if we can't do a challenge, then let's just have final 3 and get them to win and do the vote to win. And Slender Man ends up agreeing to that plan because Sign is no longer here. I mean, we knew that Sign was devastated at that one time when they failed to get the new host, but the fact that they just dipped off, it's a little bit mysterious. Like, what happened to them? You know, there's like what's going on? There's a couple of like the couple of shenanigans, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, in terms of vote to win, who's gonna win? I don't know. I feel, because I always like to say that the winner should be the most representative of the show. I think the most representative of the show should be probably Plush, to be honest, because Plush is interesting. It's a character that has had the most amount of changes, right? So therefore has covered the broadest amount of the spectrum, right? Whereas Cookie has just kind of survived by being a Cookie, to be honest. Like, Cookie hasn't actually done a challenge since, like, the first two challenges, right? Has just kind of sat there and been Cookie in all of her Cookie attitude, and the Cookie attitude of being nice, except that one time when you're randomly mean, but usually nice, right, gets you to kind of stick around, because, oh, who would hate Cookie, right? But I think B Plus is more representative, having been involved in more of the action, having had more interesting total writing, having had more interest, having had, you know, a re-asset, and everything, adventuring with Sign, doing everything, right? So I think that B Plus is a deserved fella. In terms of, I haven't mentioned the comedy in a while. These episodes have gotten a little bit longer, so by default, their longerness has definitely caused, like, the fact, like, basically there's generally a tiny amount of additional formulaicness because of, you know, elimination, challenge, right, everything, to than like the first episode. So it does mean that they can cram in less jokes per capita, but it's still a lot of jokes, and they're utilizing the montage format to be able to crank in as many jokes as possible, right? Because, like, both in the last time with the montage of going from universe to universe, and here in the montage of debutante to debutante getting to beat the replacement contestant, it has done quite a bit to kind of try to keep up the energy of jokes as much as possible, which is relatively interesting. Anyways, episode 7, which is the finale of the funny little show, is entitled "Smile for the Camera." Ew, that is the finale of the funny little show, and the characters are starting to conform more and more to the funny little writing style, as time is passing. But we end up beginning here with the B Plus, which is apparently mad at Cookie because Cookie has been chilling out with the meme guy, and which is apparently just called the words on screen. So I get fair enough. I'm falling shit. All right. I'm not calling them that. The IFS. And we end up going, and B Plush is sad because Cookie has been spending time with him, but B Plush is like, oh, you'll always be my favorite, B Plush. What do you... Not a lot of competition for that category now. Not very consoling words, but either way, B Plush is still satisfied. They're all besties. So Slender Man takes a picture for the camera with the besties, and it's a pretty cool picture. And then that camera, I guess, goes on the floor, which is gonna be pretty interesting. But all the eliminated contestants get to do their vote, just to see who is cool. And the first two end up picking the fallen shit guy, which is interesting because, you know, they're the two who didn't see him. We end up having, missing no, ends up taking over the spot of that one guy who died. And they vote B Plush, and Cookie gets chosen by the axolotl egg, as well as the card. And then the last one, Sign, who comes back after doing what? After getting rid of all the bad souls in your body. I mean, like, I'm a bit worried about this guy. This guy was, like, forced to be awake. The one time he slept, he got teleported to some evil gray landscape. He was apparently testing out world teleportation when trying to find a host. Proceeded to leave, cleansing the souls on the body. Still capable of teleporting worlds, though, so he's still got some of that power. So something's kind of going on. I feel like there's some lore to this Sign guy. You know, I like catching bits and pieces, right? But I feel like there's some interesting things going on that I'm not quite grasping just yet. But I think we need to We need to keep an eye out there. But while we do that, we end up having Send a Man learn to read the votes because I don't know. I guess they made it in Braille. And we end up having B Plush not win. B Plush gets bottom. R.I.P. R.I.P. to the B Plush. I totally still think it was the winner. The winner ends up being Cookie. Cookie wins with like 18 votes compared to 16. And it makes sense that B Plush gets last because we have the 2 voting magnets. Because of course we know that a lot of people like the Fallen Ship Fellow from the debut. Where it obviously won for no apparent reason. And Cookie is just kind of the silly character, right? Because in a show, like, how do I best describe it? In a show that definitely promotes this kind of silly, nice, XD lol attitude, right? In the way that like characters tend to be written and the host is, right? And all these things, right? It makes sense that the character that embodies that the most, which is Cookie, right? Cookie embodies that kind of super omega nice :3 attitude, right? Is gonna be the one to get a lot of votes, right? Which is fair, I guess. So in the terms of like character that represents the show the most, like I think it's also a valid winner. It'd be my second choice. Apparently, collect my pages. We end up having the show then end as everybody else comes back, and as the number 5 chills, they find the camera on the floor. For some reason, they take a picture. They don't grab the camera to take a picture. They just take a picture. Which, I'm sorry, I know that the camera exploded and became a person and fetched them to be a contestant, right? Like, I know that happened, but like, before that happens, our fella just snatched a picture of the air. The guy on the stage cheese takes a picture while the camera's pointing upwards at the sky. That picture's about to be the weight. His picture. It's about. What is my guy doing? But yeah, he proceeds to explode and spawn a camera fella, which apparently 5 will be a great contestant. So maybe that's what FLSA is gonna be. Maybe season 2 is the camera fetching over there. They say like they're apparently maybe for a different dimension. Let's go home, which is interesting. Where is home? I mean, you don't know where home is. Then you spawn it. Weren't you born 3 seconds ago? Hey, what's happening? I don't know, but he's gonna do hosting. Okay, he's gonna do the hosting. That's all we know. He's gonna do the hosting. All right, so. That is season 1 of the funny little show. It was nice. It was pretty funny. To be honest, I like the amount of gags that were in it. It definitely has its own style, definitely has its own vibe. But why not, right? Let's do that. It's simple, it's easy, and it's a silly little thing. But when a silly little thing gets a season 2, you want the silly little thing to evolve. So. Will FLSA, which is also the latest thing that LunarNobee has been creating, or funny little show again, be a evolution on the concept? Let's find out with episode 1, which is entitled, Who's This Guy? Season 2. So, apparently there was a poll, at some point with, the contestants, to join. Apparently the top contestants to join, half from the previous cast, half from the debutantes, was Axolotl, Grilled Cheese, B Plus Sign, Flying Apple Package, I Forgot, Noob Chips, Snow Bomb, and also Tissue Box for some reason, even though it was a tie, end up joining the show. It's like they don't join the show. That's specifically who doesn't join the show. So we end up having majority of the other characters join the show. Now, not everybody, okay, well, hold on. What is the cast? Who ends up joining? It ends up being like the polar opposite, except for Coin and Blue Paper, who are apparently hosting, which means that the fellas who do make up the cast, if I end up observing are, out of the old cast, it'd be like the fallen shit, which ends up having a new asset, so it's not really a meme anymore. Now it just kind of doesn't make sense. The Pokemon card and the whatever the hell the guy's called. I still don't know what Goner Powerpuff is supposed to be. Then we have the Half Leaf, the Pink Pencil, the Golf Ball Sister, whatever that fella is, blue Bob Square, the ball that I don't remember the name of, and then the cabinet. Okay, so those end up being the cast. They end up splitting themselves into two teams. We're doing a BFDIA thing, so we split 50% into, well, we split into new characters, into newbies and oldies. However, there's only 3 oldies, right? Which means that they're heavily disadvantaged in the challenge, which is none other than Alright, Slenderman still hosting. It's not far from the cliff. The cliff ends up breaking, and they all fall. Everybody kind of despises Pokemon cards, so they don't actually mind. Because if they had to be in a team with Pokemon card, it's better to not be on a team at all. We're doing also the voting videos because we're doing a BFDIA. But overall, yeah, interesting. I believe that Blue Paper is the host of Season 3, so it's possible that Season 3 might be the season with those other characters, and therefore it's the higher effort season. I don't know, it gives me that vibe from the thumbnail. But like maybe that's my prediction. If I were to give one, maybe it's that like this is the lower effort season with the character that we don't want, but then we've decided to fetch the character that we do want into a higher effort quote unquote season that we might make at some point, even though we're currently not making it. That's what I would currently guess, but I have no idea. It might be interesting, however, to witness then later at a later date. Anyways, I don't think I'm gonna take a look at the other episodes today because it's kind of late. But episode 2 is entitled "The Best Day of Default PPG Templates Life." Here we go. Default PPG template is the characters, the Goner Powerpuff. Yeah, the Powerpuff. Yeah, because default Powerpuff Girl template. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, go. Hello, it is the next day and I am back to watch a funny little show again. So it is episode 2, the best day of default PPG templates life. And now this show, this episode continues on this show's general trend with challenges, is that if I'm thinking it correctly, unless I'm forgetting something, every single time that a contestant has gone away to try to do the challenge, they have never won it. Every time they have had to go to a different location to do a challenge, they've always failed. They've taken too long. Because it just takes too long to go to a place. Alright? And that does end up being true for this episode as well. But we start ourselves off here with a team name for some reason, for only one of the teams, because Pokemon Card wants one. Pokemon Card wants to be the default Powerpuff Girls template ends up being like, yo, how about we make it like a team Pokemon Card, because you'll probably want to do that in Pokemon Card. Like, that's an awesome idea, right? Which yeah, of course, but they do the thing where their team is named wrong, because it'd be like, okay, yeah, let's be that. And then so this means that their team name is the word that, you know. But yeah, I'm liking Pokemon Card, to be honest, because Pokemon Card was kind of, you know, how do I best describe it? A pathetic loser of the first season, right? And like they were kind of loud, but nobody cared. But like now that they're in this relatively special scenario, right? Where they're louder than their team, you know? Like, comparatively speaking to their team is not really going to protest or ignore them. They actually have power, which is an interesting variant from the first season, where in the first season, whatever Pokemon card said kind of doesn't matter. But here, like the people that are with Pokemon card are not going to overpower him. So he does get a say, right? Which makes kind of interesting, because, you know, he's still a pathetic loser. But, is a pathetic loser with style. Ooh. But anyway, the elimination it gets done with the videos where the winner and the prize ends up going to Pokemon card again, something kind of useless, whatever. And we end up having the eliminated contestant be a tie. Yes, a tie between Pokemon card and default Powerpuff Girl template. So Mr. Banana, which is a new character, hello Mr. Banana, is going to pick who gets eliminated. Now he does a bait and switch. He says, I pick, wait, what did he say? He says, I pick default Powerpuff Girl to be eliminated. And it's like, OMG. I mean, I don't know if Slenderman should be. I mean, I guess, like, because Slenderman did say Mr. Banana will pick who's safe. I guess he didn't say that he's going to say who is safe, right? It says he's going to pick who is safe. Doesn't mean you have to say who is safe, right? So, in a way, Mr. Banana, I think, does have the freedom to do that. But, yeah, default Powerpuff Girl ends up being on, like, a happy montage of them having survived an elimination and them, you know, growing up academically and then having a family and then growing with the family and then dying with the family. And I don't know, but yeah, they end up getting eliminated, so none of that happens, and they then proceed to swear, and everybody's pretty crazy about that. In the meantime, the team proceeds to go steal a team member. They steal Blue Square or Blue Squale. I don't Squale. I don't know. It depends on on the text, and they eventually decide to take the Blue Square because Blue Square did not say that they didn't want to join, so they proceed to get them for their team. I mean, obviously, Blue Square is, I believe, a character that's not going to move or act or do anything, which means that for the purposes of that team, they're pretty useless, right? Like, I don't know, like, they're not really going to help, but it's probably not because it's voting fodder, right? And if you're a kind of a duo, like, you want to probably have some voting fodder to keep your team around, because, like, they pretty much just bought themselves a loss, right? Because when they're gonna lose, Blue Square's probably gonna get out, more likely than not, which means that they pretty much just bought themselves a loss and they're in the same position that they were before, right? They just bought voting fodder, which is pretty good. It's pretty good overall. So it's not even actually a bad strategy. Actually, kind of, I enjoy it as a strategy. But we end up having the challenge, which is to make the best Lego build. Now, how do you make the best Lego build? Well, you need Lego, but they both just have a supply of Lego already there, maybe. Or at least Pokemon card has Lego. I don't know where, but Pokemon card acquired some Lego before and is making it. In the meantime, the other team needs to go to Legoland to and go make it. I'm not gonna lie, I personally enjoy when this show does this. Like the completely random deviations to go to different places. I don't know, when this show does it, it's kind of funny. And apparently they had to fight Lego Batman or whatever because they didn't pay, so they were trying to escape or something. And either way, they lost, I guess, because they didn't steal the thing. You know, they didn't steal the thing. They didn't come with the build anyways. But either way, there was no time realistically to do a build. Because as soon as they came back, you know, the timer ended, which means that, like, in terms of Golf Ball Sister being capable of doing it, which, again, it wasn't the gag with Golf Ball Sister that, like, he was hella dumb, so I don't know if she was going to be able to do it, but, at least the other team, I mean, Pokemon card kind of cried, being like, it's too hard to make Lego, but the Fallen, how did, the Cookie describe it? They called it Folly? Yo, Folly. Alright, we're gonna call you Folly, alright? But yeah, Folly ends up making... Well, they don't make anything, if you think about it. They're holding up a Lego figure of Homer Simpson. You don't need to make that. You don't need to make the figures. The figures are already made. They didn't do shit. Let's send them out. I know you don't have eyes, but come on now. What are we doing? That's a Lego figure. They didn't make nothing. They didn't make nothing either. They would still win, but they didn't get nothing. They don't get 10 out of 10 now. Oh, come on. Anyways, in terms of the elimination, I'm expecting probably Sand to get out. I don't know. It brings the least value by not being capable of having facial expressions. I don't know. But, yeah, it's time for episode 3 of FLSA, which is entitled Elimination Prevention Plan. Go! Okay, that is episode 3. However, you know what? Hold on. I don't actually know who won this challenge. Well, I mean, I do know who won this challenge. It was, the newbies, but, like, why? What did they do? He's like, okay, well, hold on. I think, if I'm not mistaken, what occurred is that, the bomb exploded them, right? Is that what happened? Or did they escape? Because, like, you know, presumably the bomb comes in and eats the cheese, and that's like the trap, right? Okay, cool, got it. So since the cheese is that and then it's the trap, then, like, it would explode because the oniony wouldn't have really had time to leave, so they proceed to deep and explode. However, then that would mean that the person that got oniony would be the bomb, which is nobody's character, right? Which would make it a tie. But apparently, by handing the book, Pranjabal, okay, wait. Random handed shoe when he got recovered and we got him to, where is he? Interesting. No, okay, wait, I think what happened is, hold on. So he dies because of the bomb, and then nobody still got him because the bomb is a neutral party. So then the newbies recovered him and then immediately grabbed them, which means that they got him. I think that's the idea. It happens off screen, but I think that's what's supposed to have happened. Okay, got it. We have ourselves a relatively standard episode. By the way, this bomb has like a purple like thing, like what's it called? Fuse, which is interesting because it now just reminds me of II. I don't know if that was intentional. Is II even that old? I don't think II4 is even as old as this, but It's kind of an interesting design feature. But, yeah, in terms of, by the way, the technical aspect of it, I haven't really mentioned the technical aspect of it because it's very much so neutralized, right? Like, before, where we were kind of trying to figure out what the vibe is and how it goes about its thing, we know now, right? Like, it's doing this thing in this, in this way. I mean, I'm still not great at describing, but, like, you know, it's kind of relatively simplistic, right, where the environment isn't really there, which means that you don't need to interact with the environment as much. It means you need to draw the characters, right, and they can maybe interact with each other, but, like, it's simple, right? It's simple, it's short, there's not a lot to do, right? Backgrounds, which are one of the toughest things, for especially slideshowy types of shows, no, right, are not a thing, which makes it quite a bit simpler. I'm interested in Cabinet, by the way. I've noticed that ever since Cabinet has been closed, they're like fearfulness has definitely reduced. No, they've been like dramatically a little bit more chill. So maybe that's how that works. Maybe like it's maybe having the cabinet be half open was like anxiety inducing. That would be an interesting trait, by the way. I don't know. I kind of like that. Also, by the way, speaking of character designs, low key, like, can we like make the recommended characters that contest this? Like, half of them look so cool. Like the recommended characters consistently look cooler than the actual characters. I'm gonna be absolutely for real here. Like, what? Why are they so sick? But yeah, Cookie proceeds to host because Slenderman is off doing a family reunion with Enderman. Okay, bro. 114 votes, which is probably the highest that this vote got. Now, majority of it are for the likes, which isn't exactly relevant. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is one of the most interesting patterns of behavior that happens, right, with the average viewer, where it's like when you have the option to save rather than to eliminate, right, it's almost like people want to be nice, so they vote for who they like, but they don't want to pick who they don't like. Or like they like multiple people, but they only dislike one. Like, see, it's kind of like it's weird behavior, no? Like, I don't know. It's kind of interesting how that works because majority of object shows that do the like dislike system unless it's forced via Google form. But if they do the video voting system, the likes will always be there before, like there will be nearly always more likes than there are dislikes, which is of course interesting because dislikes matter, likes not really, right? When it could also be YouTube's doing. Of course, YouTube has slowly phased out dislikes. I mean, ever since like 2019, right, dislikes have been off, which means that the culture of clicking the dislike button has left, right? Like there's no point in doing that in a regular video. So like by asking somebody to directly dislike a YouTube video nowadays, it's weird. Right, like it's different. It's a different scenario, right? Which makes it definitely a little bit more rare, so therefore less people might do it. Anyways, we've over talked, bro. The eliminated contestant is underneath. We spawn in a recovery tree. The recovery tree is apparently very beautiful, and they agree to help recover the contestants for the show. I mean, not like they were exactly going to be capable of going anywhere. The prize, or at least the. Was it the prize? Oh yeah, the prize, like the Slender Man thing, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, ends up getting stolen. The challenge is to get him back. As I said, they do the explosion, and then the newbies get him. Which, and also somebody makes onion rings, Lamar. Okay, bro. I mean, to be fair, if it exploded at a perfect distance, then it might be perfectly cooked now. And there we go. That is... This means that the oldies are up for elimination, including Cabinet. As I said, theoretically, Blue Square should be voting fodder. Let's see if they're going to get out. Episode 4 is entitled Wake Up Call. Go. Alright, that is FLSA 4, and okay, lore might be happening. So, of course, the main thing that happens in this episode is Blue Square wakes up. I guess we need some lore on that. So, Blue Square gets eliminated, so correct, the elimination fodder does, in fact, function in terms of that team getting somebody that's just going to allow them a free elimination. Good job. It was a relatively smart idea, to be honest, where if you can't get somebody useful, you get the useless one, right? Like that. Like it's a better idea than the current one. This makes sense. However, Blue Square, right as they get eliminated and they get asked for their final words, they actually do wake up. Yes, Blue Square wakes up, and they don't know where they are, because wherever they were was not a white void. Presumably they were in a universe, because we know that the other worlds, right, they're relatively normal worlds, right? They look like worlds, as we saw, they end up being, I guess, part of the challenge alongside Pranchball, because, we need to form an elimination area for them. And as they're forming this elimination area, they're a little bit confused, being like, how are we here? Like, can we go back? Is there a way back? The space ain't too bad, but how do we get back? And then Pranchball goes like, I don't actually know, because we got sent back after we got eliminated, but then we came back, and nobody seemed to be do that, because at least Blueberry didn't, or at least Blueberry isn't here, or maybe they are, I don't know, right? So, like, Sendermac had teleport us here, so it was somebody else, and Blue Paper suddenly earned the power teleport us here. And then they end up being a little bit confused, because nobody does that until you did. So what do you know? Do you know something? Are you affiliated with anything? Right? And then they end up going crazy. And as they go crazy, the screen proceeds to glitch out. And in this glitch out, some figure appears. Am I capable of making out anything from it? No, not really. There's definitely a star in there. Like, the shape of a star is absolutely in that figure. But other than that, I have no idea what that even is. like, there's a starry eye, but that's all I can gather from it. Other than that, it's just two shapes. So one at the top, one at the bottom. Right? Maybe it's like hair. I don't know. Like it's very hard to. No, maybe it's a hat. Is it a hat? Yeah, but then what's that? What would be that at the bottom? Because that's where the limbs would be. So yeah, you see, it doesn't really make sense. Like, it's not a design Like, it doesn't, like, it's weird, but it does have a starry eye. That's 100%. But not sure that's supposed to be anything. But I don't know. We glitch out and then we return back to normal when the houses are done. If you're curious, all of the houses are apparently pretty bad. Shout out to Flower, which is just sitting on top of the recovery tree. Okay, I guess they can do that. Everybody's house is either too bad or too good, because Team Vat's house is way too good. So they just end up sending everybody to the Never, which you can do apparently, which is interesting. Which, by the way, that also means that could mean things, but because, okay, you see, this is what I mean. This show is doing lore, but like, it's gonna be too confusing, because the way that this show works is that it's a funny little show. In the funny little show, funny little random things happen, right? And it's not supposed to break a, like, there's not supposed to be a through line to follow, you know? Like, there's not supposed to be a funny, right? Like, no, sorry, there is supposed to be a funny. There's not supposed to be a logic. Sorry, I said it in reverse. Because, like, the characters, they just have varying amounts of capability based on vibes. Slenderman can teleport himself, cannot teleport other people directly. Blue Paper is not capable of doing that until now they suddenly are. We know that Cyan always was able to teleport them and somebody else to different universes as well, which is presumably also what Blue Paper is capable of doing, but we knew that Cyan was able to do that the entire time, and they have done it all the time, right? So, like, that's something, I guess, right? Like, you see how there's a varying amounts of capability that's actually, like, happen. Alright, and of course Blueberry, to begin with, when constructing the show, also presumably had those hosting capability to do something, and at least as far as we know nowadays, is still the only character to have the power of turning somebody pixelated like they were back when the FLS's first batch of episodes came out. Although I do think there was one or two episodes where a character got pixelated after Blueberry left, right? Like 1 or 2, right? So, like, that's kind of what was going on. So, I don't really know. There's, like, you see, like, there's not a lot of logic going on to it. The characters have different levels of ability, but I don't really want there to be. Not for this. To be honest, I don't really think it fits for this. You know, because for as much as the lore is kind of interesting, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, I don't think it's a good idea, because, like, by doing it, you're kind of taking away the funny, right? Because you can't do as many random silly shenanigans if the random silly shenanigans imply a character's powers or not powers, right? So I think you should just kind of let it, right? You should have a show like this be as free bird as possible, right? You should, like, when a show is mainly composed on having a maximum amount of jokes as possible, right? Even though, I mean, it's definitely lowered on the amount of jokes. It's not really lowered on the amount of jokes, it's just longer. It's, like, lengthened, but not to really increase that much in the jokes variety, which has made it a little bit of, like, it's definitely a comedy show, but it's not a comedy show, like, where everything has to be a punchline. It's a comedy show where this is kind of supposed to be generally entertaining. So, like, while it's doing that, you want it to be a free bird. You want it to allow itself to do as many things as possible. And if you're going to add this lore to it, you're going to break it, right? Like, you're going to kind of give it too many rules when it can't really have that many rules. So I'm hoping that, so, like, you know, weirdly enough, this might be one of the first few times. I'll be the first to tell you, I kind of hoping there ain't lore. I'm kind of hoping this lore is just, like, silly shenanigans. Because if there's too much lore, we're going to get distracted. But I guess we'll have to see, because it's time for episode 5 of FLSA, and the episode 5 of FLSA is entitled Survival the Jeff the Killer. Go! Alright, so a little while ago I took a look at FLSA 5, Survival the Jeff the Killer. So, new fighter unlocked, Jeff the Killer. So, Jeff the Killer is apparently here to cause some murder and is apparently Slenderman's boyfriend, which, it's kind of fun. I don't know. I kind of actually vibe with that idea. I mean, that's a pretty funny idea. I'll say we go with that idea. I actually approve of that idea. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just kind of like horror figures that are white. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, the TV is fixed. Apparently, Pokemon Card was watching the Pokemon tournament. I don't know. And must have broken the screen. So the eliminated contestant ends up being none other than Golfball's sister, who ends up getting eliminated. Yet again, the amount of total dislikes is less than the amount of likes that Purple Pencil got on, or Pink Pencil, whatever, got on their own. Like, just to understand, right? I mean, I understand. By the way, these voting videos, now that I'm looking at them, they're kind of weird. Oh yeah, because that's Golfball's sister's video, but it says cabinet on it. Okay, interesting. That's kind of funny. There's some fun gags as well. We end up having the prize being the Starlo plush. So the Starlo plush is now just, I guess, there from time to time. The B plush is apparently hanging out in the other universe. Which, where are they? They're in like a what is that? They're in like a square tile land, which is different than where I think season 3 gets held, so that's kind of interesting. But afterwards, as I said, Jeff arrives and is murdering everybody, and the challenge is to survive the Jeff the Killer. Now, unfortunately, Jeff the Killer ends up getting shot by the Pranch Ball as the way to survive him, which ends up being quite bad, because Jeff the Killer is like a guy, and apparently you can't revive a human, right? Which means that he's just kind of dead. It's like, damn, that's unfortunate for Slendy Man. Over there. I mean, like, I would say you should have seen that coming, but to be fair, also no, right? Because, like, yeah, you can survive him by tackling it, but it was supposed to be an avoidance challenge rather than a tackle challenge. The challenge wasn't defeat Jeff the Killer, it was survive Jeff the Killer, right? It wasn't get him back. It was don't get by him, right? So, like, the murdering of it was not necessary, although it is definitely, one of the possible outcomes. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit unfortunate. So I understand why Send them out would have done, especially, now that we have the recovery tree. I'm not sure if the recovery tree is too happy about that. I don't know how the recovery tree feels about actually having to recover people. Would a recovery tree be fine, or be like, oh, y'all donating too much, I'm getting tired. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of interesting. Again, I don't know. It's fine. Recovery center characters interesting. Okay, I like recovery center characters. We need more recovery center characters in history. They got a cool token though. They got a pretty cool token. We're having a debut, where we have also some characters. They are pretty cool. Who's gonna join? Yet again, just like the usual, just like I said the other time, the character that is joining is probably random, right? In the sense where it's not down to me, right? It's not down to me and you casual viewers. It's down to the general friend group and group who probably has a more in-depth knowledge of the characters. In terms of who I would probably vote for, maybe Pencil Stuck in an Eraser. That's kind of fun. Again, I enjoy characters that are multiple characters. The Red TB, however, does have a very, very complex animation attached to it, so I don't know, maybe by having them join we can get more of that. I don't know. But my prediction is gonna be Nico, because it's the most random option. Right, the most random option for who would join is Nico, so we're gonna say that Nico joins. Between that, but yeah, some of the cool characters that I was mentioning though when I said, yo, kind of recommend the characters to join, we are in fact here, so that's relatively cool, because there's who did I find originally cool? I don't even remember. It was the Cup Telephone's pretty cool. The Bella's pretty cool. There's also some other concepts which are relatively new. Guard Log, that's kind of fun. Yeah, the Pencil Stuck in an Eraser. I remember seeing the Pencil Stuck in an Eraser, right? Like all of these things. But overall, pretty fun episode, as is with this show. I enjoy the episodes of the show. They're They're fun, they're funny, even though of course I'm not pointing it out as much because we're like we've already established that this show has a baseline level of funny that's like pretty good, right? But like I'll take this quick little moment to just like give it a reiteration. Yo, I think this show is pretty funny. All right. I'm definitely enjoying my time watching it, which is why I just want to jump into the next section, because the next section is FLSA 6. It's titled, what is it titled? Titled Reveal Novel, which I mean I'm pretty sure it's like Reveal Novum, but like edited. Reveal Novel. Here we go. You know what time it is. It's time for episode 6. Alright, hello. So, we have ourselves a fighter that's being played on the console, which happens to be within the cabinet. Again, you can tell that the cabinet is immediately not happy when they're open. This is just my theory, okay? This is my headcanon, alright? I'm promoting the headcanon of cabinet is extremely anxious every time that they're open, okay? That's all I'm gonna say, alright? That's all I'm saying. Yeah, we have this fighter, which is every time, both scenes with this fighter are actually tremendously well animated. That's actually really cool. But apparently Thunderman is part of this fighting game because they sold their likeness to become part of the game. And then they get called out because it's like, hold on a minute. If you were selling your likeness to become part of the game, then that means that you weren't at your family reunion because you were busy doing that, which is completely incorrect or reasoning. You can do both things. You can do both. My guy was gone for like 3 episodes. He had time. He could have gone visit the family and then take a trip down to Nintendo, go speak to Sakurai, be like, I'm into the game. Right, like, you could have done that. Like, that was 100% possible. But, no. Alright, that's illegal. And also, by the way, second technicality that I'm going to hit back on is that technically Sandman didn't say that. It was a claim made by Cookie that apparently that was what was going on, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Sandman said that. However, Sandman does proceed to lie, saying, no, I didn't. In a way that makes it imply that they did, which means that they did, which means that everybody else thinks that they should die because they dared to lie. So they proceed to get thrown into the chopper, I don't know, and they then die. They die. Pranch Ball is getting more and more colorful by the day. And we end up having Cookie not want to host anymore, which means that there's nobody to host. But Photo Negative Mickey is going to host. Also, I'd just like to point out one thing about this scene. I keep forgetting, right, about that the backing tracks for this show are like, I don't know if they're Silver Gunner, but they're like definitely, but they're like, mashups and stuff. They're like rips as they're called, right? So like when I randomly, like completely at random, my brain was just like, hold on, this is the melody to Havana. I got so lost for a second. Like, dude, the melody to Havana is kind of high on it. How you do it? But anyway, what are we doing? Oh yeah, Havana. A Photo Negative Mickey is going to host a debut, and the debut does proceed to then happen. And the contestant who joins is Cup Telephone with 17 votes. I'm glad that at least a cool design one. That's all I'll say. It was relatively nice. I mean, I'm still definitely a believer in that it's kind of random is who joins to us because it's based on different factors, but at least a character with an actual cool design joins, right, and that brings something to the table, like, just immediately, right, and like they're immediately utilized, you see, to perform a prank call and Pokemon card, right, like just from the get-go, which immediately showcases their value, right. The challenge is to invite somebody to the birthday party of Photo Negative Mickey, or not birthday party, just party in general, because the appreciation party or whatever. and the other fellas will try to invite some people. Before they try to do that, we end up having the Prange Ball utilize their token, and their token apparently invites a bird to the show. Now, what Photo Negative Nikki didn't imply, but we now know, is that who you invited joined the show. Right, it was a secret double debut. If you invite a character, they were going to join the person you invited. Which means that this bird fella, which ends up acting as the placeholder for the token that makes you win the challenge automatically, ends up actually getting you to be safe. The cup telephone is also safe. Because, yes. They're also... I mean, like, look, here's the thing. I know that I said, right, and I did say this, that you always gotta have the character who debuts be safe immediately, but you do need to write that in. You can't just have them do the challenge, but also be automatically safe. You see what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird, because like they weren't safe. Because why would they be doing the challenge? You know, why would they be trying to do the challenge if they were already safe? Right? Like, you need to write in an excuse. You can't just do it without an excuse. You know, like, you need to pull something off. Cool voting screen. I mean, I understand that it's the BFDI one, but taken and swapped, but it swapped it pretty good. Okay, swapped pretty good. So I like it. Overall, yeah, that is the episode. Enjoyable one. R.I.P. to Slendy Man. We have Photo Negative Man next. And FLSA 7 is up next, and it is entitled Handstanding Champion. Here we go. Alright, hello, that is FLSA 7. Now, according to the comments, this is apparently a return, which is interesting. I mean, there was, I think, a 3-month gap between episode 7 and episode 6 of the show, but I'm pretty sure, weren't there episodes released in the middle? Wasn't there, like, a season 1.5 that happened in that time span? Like, does that count as a break? I don't know, but I guess welcome. We're back. All right, we've taken a break and we're back to handling FLSA, and I mean, it absolutely comes back in a good way. It actually comes back in a good way. This is a bit of a shorter episode, which yet again means that the amount of jokes that it has are a little bit more condensed, and for a show like this, that's almost better again, because like it allows it to be more funny, more consistently, and more punchy, right? Which is good. And I'm pretty sure that this episode might have my favorite individual gag of the show so far. I really like it's kind of simple, but I really like the contrast gags that it does in this episode. Both at the challenge portion with like Prange Ball being super like, oh shit, I gotta hit the floor, this is so hard, hands out all the time, and then Pink Panther is like, pretty good breaker. I like this one. But then they also do the same gag during the elimination, right? Where, like, Cabinet, which, yet again, I'm gonna say is they had a panic attack while they were open. But, the Cabinet, right, ended up, I'd be like, oh, shit, I'm getting eliminated. This is the worst day of my life. What the hell do I do? What the hell do I do? And in the meantime, the Sand was like, yep, it's pretty sad and unfortunate for me. So, like, yeah, I mean, like, it ends, and I like that kind of contrast that this episode plays with. I think that those are great guys, and I enjoy them a lot. Anyways, 8-Ball is here for some reason, and there's also a robot which is here. Apparently, the TV wants to be more respected, which is interesting considering I don't know. This is one of the shows that is most respected. It's TV. I mean, I guess there was that one time Pokemon card destroyed the TV or something, and it needed repairs. But like, I mean, I guess, you know, that's just Pokemon card. You can't. I don't know if that's that requires an inquisition here, but either way, we end up having the Cake and Steak being hosted by the negative fellow, which proceeds to fucking just die. I don't know, it just disappears. And 8-Ball, who doesn't have a favorite number, proceeds to eliminate, as I said, Cabinet and Sand because they tied on votes, so they both get out because 2 people join the overtime. And then the challenge ends up being to what's the challenge? Oh yeah, challenge to do a handstanding competition. Well, before that, we first have to reject more people that want to debut. By the way, this bomb is the bomb from I know, because they have a stutter, or at least in this episode they have a stutter, which I don't think they had a stutter the last time they appeared, but they have a stutter here because they go like, I mean, like, it's text, but like they could go like, oh, okay. Right, so presumably they are stuttering, which would maybe make them like the II equivalent, right? And that plus the kind of pink fuse that Bomb from II currently has does make me assume that this might be the current, that this might be an equivalent to that character, but it might be accidental. I don't know. It's interesting. In the meantime, by the way, a robot fella ends up getting them to be in their own show. By the way, it's so funny to imagine how these people speak, because I'ma just tell you, it's okay, you join my show, the challenge is your whim. It's your whim, guys. Bomb wins. Okay, this was FLS Bacon TBIS is season 4 added to the wiki. Okay, alright, I'm hoping that they did. But anyway, it's handstanding challenge. Pretty chill handstanding challenge. The Cups just have to kind of give up on the challenge immediately because they can't do it. But they do make sure the Pokemon card doesn't win. In the meantime, the Green Terrans apparently ended up not actually getting... fell on the ground just before. So even though Prange Ball, who apparently failed to do an epic handstand like they were trying to do, it's all okay. It's all fine. It's all okay because Slendy Man comes back just to console him, because apparently Sludge Ball, that Prange Ball is the son of the Slenderman. Right, so then proceeds to go like, oh, it's okay, you're the handstand champion. Pink Pencil, you got kind of cheated. All right, nepotism in handstanding competitions. Oh, it's a very famous thing. So, yeah, you gotta keep an eye out for those. But anyways, that was FLSA 7. Anyways, it's time for an extreme increase in running time. I wonder if there's a gag that takes a long time, or if it's actually an 11-minute episode. FLSA 8, the not so great escape. Alright, I have watched FLSA 8. Now, if I remember correctly, in the last section that I did for FLSA 7, I pointed out one thing. I said one thing, which is that I didn't actually believe that an episode of FLSA should be that long. Right? Because FLSA works best when it's punchy, when it's very fast, right? Like it hits with these jokes where you're not expecting it, and it manages to do it, and it is the type of humor that lends itself to speed, right? So having it to be, so the longer an episode is, the tougher it is to be that as punchy, right? Because it's just more difficult to A, have to write that many guys, and B, also, right, kind of, keep the energy high without either lowering it or it feeling too mono energy, right? So I have here the longest episode of FLSA right after it, right, which is 11 minutes long, and it's a pure 11 minutes. For a minute, when you look at it from afar, it almost looks like, what if it's a meme, right? Not so great escape, and then it's just an 8-minute section of somebody walking. I've seen shows that done that, okay, but that's not what happens. It's a proper 11-minute episode, right? I'm happy to report that it got it done. Right? Is it more challenging to keep an episode punchy with this length? Absolutely. I 100% believe that it's easier to do it shorter, but it does it well. It does it well. It keeps it a solid amount of gags. It keeps new things appearing, new traits. It does in a way showcase the characters a little bit more. Alright, you get to see more of a character like Sand, and even some other characters randomly, like the Cup Telephone, which is kind of interesting. We end up possibly having Cup Telephone, the dynamic between them, I feel can become more clear. It seems like maybe Cup is the more kind of nicer one, and like telephone's a more kind of I don't care one, right? Which does seem to be I mean, like the pills also had that in Oza. It might just be how we write characters that are multiple characters around the LunarNobee universe. Just one of them's nice and one of them's mean. In the meantime, they're going to do a race at Mappy, and as they say that they're the best racist instead of the best racer, which sends them to MNSSNOS. They leave. Okay, good luck over there. We end up recovering Pokemon card, and as Pokemon card gets recovered, recovery tree gets mad because we asked the friggin' inverted Mickey to recover them instead of the tree for some reason, which is interesting. But it does seem like a recovery tree. But this implies that recovery tree does actually want to recover, which is something that I was curious about, right? Like, because when recovery center characters, like, do you have the blessing of recovery or the curse of recovery, right? Like, do you want to do that? But it does seem like recovery tree wants to be the main source of recovery and actually wants to do recovery. So, this is good for them in a way. The elimination ends up having Pokemon card get eliminated. It's a close one, 12-10-9 in terms of the votes. But Pokemon card has finally gone by. I'm surprised that the Green Terrans didn't actually get eliminated here, because they really didn't do a lot, right? Like, they joined kind of on a whim at random, despite that not being the viewers' wishes. And and they didn't really prove themselves a lot in the challenges in the challenge themselves, right? Like, they were kind of swagging it by handstanding with one finger, but eventually just lost, right? So and didn't have much screen time. So I'm pretty surprised that they actually stick around. But I mean, I guess good job on doing that, right? Still, where as a Pokemon card has finally gone by. In terms of mean character survival, like Pokemon card is, pretty solid. This show's managed to keep Pokemon card around for way longer than I would realistically expect a character like Pokemon card to survive in an Optic show. So they did did well in sustaining him for a while. The inverted Mickey is now going to be mean unless Branch Ball proceeds to shoot them again. So send them back a host again. I said, nope, Tails doll is here. Why are all the hosts like fuck ass creepypasta? And then the Tails Dolls co-hosts as well are fucking like Ben Drowned, the evil Squidward, Bart Simpson. But like it's like the three of them are like together. And their challenge is to do every challenge again. So yeah, in the meantime, they're trying to do that, but it's impossible because multiple of those are impossible challenges. We end up going over to the Never, where we're in the midst of a Never fortress, and we are apparently blocked in by a couple of Why have I piglins? Wait, why do I not zombie piglin? Wait. Wait a minute, what did it call? That means a zombie piglin, right? Why my brain, dude? What? Okay, of the zombie piglins, but yeah, it's getting protected, but they need to escape. So they try to escape by getting behind Cabinet, and behind Cabinet just sneak around while hiding everybody because the other fellas are too busy watching the Digital Circus as a secret to new Steal a Brain Rot episode. Which is a very high quality episode, and then they eventually encounter the Blazes. The Blazes get a gunshot in, and they end up burning Cabinet alive, but the other fellas are still pretty much alive. Sand manages to, just do a barricade, and they, end up surviving. Golf Ball Sister and the Sand will go try to find water, while the other fellas go find lava, which is such a stupid plan to do in the Never that you see is kind of hilarious. That's the kind of guy that I like, the kind of like guy with like you think about it for a second, it's like, wait, hold on. So I find that quite entertaining. But the funny thing is they actually do end up going over to find water because they end up finding the zone where Pell is, I guess. Basically, if you die, but you're a bad person, you go here instead of going to whatever deadline. So we end up having Jeff the Killer, who's here, the Algebrillion Mask and Red Tennis Ball, as well as apparently Cornbread, the Purple Berry, which I don't remember your name, and the Birthday Box, which are the ones who apparently did bad. Apparently, the Birthday Box committed multiple war crimes, which, of course, I personally enjoy as a concept entirely because, shy character, but you never, the evils. In the meantime, apparently, Red TB can form whatever they want. red tennis ball does actually get to sand some water, which you know what? It followed the instruction. We followed the instruction. So, nice guy. Thank you. I tip my hat to you, red tennis ball. All right? You might be consumed by hate or whatever they do in the Undertale's 2016, but I tip my hat to you. You were nice to us and formed some water, which Sand proceeded to drink anyway, so it doesn't even matter. In the meantime, the hosts proceed to go over to the FLS headquarters because they don't want Tails Doll and shit to host it. So they proceed to go over and try to get Slenderman to host permanently. I thought Cookie bailed on being a host 2 episodes ago, but I guess they have the bow tie, so they really have to do it. So they get to the FLS headquarters after a long adventure, and they eventually get the contract to sign back. I'm surprised that they didn't protest it. I'm surprised that there was no protesting. I mean, to be fair, FLS headquarters probably know who Cookie is, the winner of FLS. So probably what Cookie said has a little bit more relevancy in this case. So I think I think that's fair enough that they would trust it more, especially more since Blueberry, wherever the hell Blueberry is, we don't even know. Apparently, by the way, Sand just had a Never portal available. Just had one in the pocket, and under his hand. This reasoning is so funny. It was your idea. It was your plan. If we let me have my plan, I would have done that. Which is such it's the reasoning, dude. Do you know what I mean? It's a logic, but it almost makes sense. And then you think about it for a minute. It's like, wait, no. So yeah, there's a lot of entertaining jokes in this. I find it funny. In the meantime, the Slendy Man ends up officially signing the contract. What the hell? How did you type your name? Lysenderman. Lysenderma. So Lysenderma signed the contract. I understand that you can't read, but if you write a letter, and then the next letter is to the right of the previous letter, right? It's the left to right writing system, right? I don't know what writing system you use when you make the pages, right? But it's a little bit suspicious. I think you would know how the left to right writing system, presumably, especially because you learned to read that one time. I know you forgot. But the left to right writing system, and I get you're famous for making pages, right? So I don't know. And you wrote the whole novel. Actually, you didn't write the novel. That was the clever fellow who wrote the novel, which actually makes a cameo in this episode. Now that I think about it. Anyways, Tails Doll dips off, and the challenge proceeds to get won by Bread Powerpuff, who appears and wins. Yay! Everybody else is up for elimination. I'm just gonna get out. I mean, I'm gonna predict Red Terrence still. I think that makes most sense. I think it's time to go for Red Terrence. I'm a bit worried about this one because considering none of these characters pretty much appear at all in this episode, it ends up being kind of a free-for-all. So I'm hoping that Green Terrence gets out, but it could be anybody realistically in terms of how this episode ended up actually operating, right? So we may have a problem in that department, but overall, good episode. I still absolutely believe that episodes of FLSA should be shorter, in my eyes, because it's not supposed to be a complex show, and the longer it is, the harder it is to keep it at the same standard of funny, right? If naturally while you're writing it, just a really funny long story comes out, sure, right? But if I wouldn't really make it that long, right? Because then it kind of becomes more effort, and it then arrives into I guess the question of ecosystem, right? A creator's ecosystem in a way, especially for somebody like LunarNobee, right? Which had this the higher effort show like Oza, and then they had something like this, which was supposed to be more kind of there's a baseline level of effort, but it's not supposed to try hard, right? But if one is taken out, what's next, right? Does anything come to replace it, right? Especially after the Oza retiring. Right, that kind of becomes an interesting question, right? In the ecosystem, if Ozo retires as the show, which it is retired, will a show replace it as the bigger project, right? Is that something that's gonna happen, or are we just not gonna have a bigger project? It's an interesting question, right? Every creator has this is This is a way of thinking that I personally encourage creators. I encourage creators to think like an ecosystem. Personally, I think it's good, right? We're like, because by having an ecosystem, you have to think how everything fits into it, which gives every piece of content you make purpose, right? It could even be an idea for a video I made myself, to be honest. I could make a standalone video about like an audio show ecosystem, right? And like the bigger shows, the biggest creators, like their shows, like they do fit into a logic to an ecosystem in a way, right? And like I think it's useful, especially creators that make a lot of shows, to kind of try to use that system and be like, okay, like, so it gives more purpose to the content that they create, right? Which I don't think is a bad thing, like it's more purpose, right? Anyways, before I get off into a side tangent, let's go to episode 9, which is also the latest episode of FLSA, and it's also the shortest. Interesting. It's entitled The Wedding Episode. Go. Alright, that is FLSA 9. Is a wedding. Apparently, our cookie fella and the recovery tree are getting married. Yippee, so cute. They proceed to do a wedding hosted by Slenderman. Slenderman doesn't really know how anything works, but Green Terrace Ball gets eliminated, so goodbye, I guess. I mean, they don't really leave, they just stay there. You may now lick the bride, and that proceeds to happen. But hey, let's go. This is, I must admit, it's a very pretty recovery tree asset. It's very, very cool. I like it a lot. And it's one of the top trees of all time. But, apparently, the other fellas, we do the finale vote, because it's the final 3 get the finale voted, right? Which I think was true for FLS as well. We end up having, I'm going to send you guys an algebraic map to TFS now. To TFS. Do you know what that is? Wait, what is TFS? Hold on. I mean, you can't ever be too confident in what a Slendy Man is saying, because Slender Man is known to misspell a couple thingies, but TFS is not something that I personally remember as the name of a show. But okay, alright then, I don't know, they're off to somewhere. But we end up having the vote to win. Personally, the personal thing that I will say that I enjoy about these vote to win screens is I like how each character, I guess, has its own like the icon at the top left. They had it for a while. I didn't know if they were actually supposed to be related to the character or not, but they have them and they've remained consistent. So like like the lightning bolt for Pranch Ball, the heart for Cop Telephone, and the star for Pink Pencil. So that's, I mean, relatively good, right? Overall, yeah, it's FLSA. That's FLSA, at least the 2 seasons that are currently working in. I reiterated this at the start, but I'll reiterate it at the end as well. I decided to watch this up to the latest release, right? So the latest release is this, episode 9 of season 2. So I watched up to that. There is I've watched the main series up to that, because there's a season in between that is a spin-off, but so I don't think counts. And there's also a season 3, which is presumably not active yet. So, when that continues, I'll watch the previous episode, right? So that's kind of what is going on. I also don't think the spin-off has gotten an episode, so it might be, in the keep-up pile if it releases another episode. But overall, what do I think of FLSA? Is that it was good. It was good. It was an enjoyable, experience, and it's definitely an enjoyable experience on the up as well. I would say that these last 2 episodes have had some funny gags. I found that like they showed the ride both at the very, very start, right, because it had a lot of gags super quickly, right? Then it kind of slowed itself down but kept the same amount of gags, right? Which meant that, well, it was still fun. It wasn't like as epic funny, and then as time has passed and we're getting more recent, we've started to like more properly add the amount of gags that's spaced out for the length properly, so the episodes are feeling funnier than they were, right? Overall, yeah, I enjoy it. It's not serious. It's just kind of meant to be silly gags. And I think it fits well, right, as a show that doesn't need a lot of plot. It's just kind of meant to do things, right? I was a bit worried when it was going to do plot. I'm kind of glad that it didn't do that plot too much, right? And it, like, with the powers or whatever, and it just kind of kept itself to its standard. I mean, it might still do the plot, of course, but, like, it's kept itself relatively chill, and I think that it fits well. I think that it fits well for itself. It's a show with a purpose. It's a show with a distinct identity. Then at least Oza, right? At least Oza was. Yeah, I think it fits well within the channel, and I'll be definitely hoping to be capable of watching more of it if more of it is to release. But overall, that is everything. The video is probably looped about 3 times by now. But I need to have my final conversation about FLSA, and I mean, maybe there's something else for this video, or maybe it's just the outro. It is 30 hours. I don't know. I'll see. Next section. Alright, that's gonna be all for today's episode. And I wanted to chat about a little something, right? This wheel, okay? This wheel has done one thing that's really interesting, and it has really motivated me in a way, because it gets me to not really know what I'm supposed to cover. So, by giving me the choice, it in a way lifts responsibility, right? And that makes it more exciting, because you delve into it, they not know what you're gonna watch. However, there's one thing about this wheel that has been a little bit of a thing to wrap my head around, and it's that with this wheel, I don't also have any length control, which means that the amount of things I've covered, I've noticed, is not actually that high. Like, if you notice, I did 2 wheel spins here. In the last episode, in episode 126, I did 3, right? Like, which is not that many wheel spins when you consider that there's like 170 things on the wheel, right? But it's kind of because, well, a lot of the things on the wheel are short. A lot of them are also really long. And it becomes a little bit of a danger sometimes to spin a wheel if you're later into an episode, right? Because, like, for example, I could spin a wheel right now and be a 5-minute section, just get it at it, boom, epic, right? Or I could spin a wheel and it lands on a 1-hour show, or not even 1 hour, 2-hour show, and boom, now I have to make a 5-hour long catch-up. See what I mean? There's a degree of danger to a wheel spin that makes so that I have to kind of stop in a way as well, which can be a negative, because this means that I can't necessarily cover as many people per episode as I would maybe want, right? Because through time, I've started to kind of min-max in a way, with catch-ups, like to try to cover as many people as possible, right? Like, you can tell from the way I was doing those catch-ups, right, that a lot of them had a lot of people included, right? But at the same time, it's also in a way good, because it forces me to, like, call it, right, in a way, right, when, like, a certain episodes were getting so big, right, like, at the end of the day, we have an episode, like, for example, like, I guess it's topical, because, of course, we covered LunarNobee today, but, like, the Oza episode, it's 6 hours long, because it took, like, a 4-hour episode in Oza, and I was like, you can't only take a look at one show, I have to add something else, so I add another show that's about an hour long, right, and then, like, that episode ends up being the longest catch of all time. I see what I mean, right, and like that, like, for example, that Madness video, like, I didn't decide to just watch Madness because Madness is old. Nope. Had to watch Madness plus 50 other small episodes. See what I mean? Like, it was like, I was min-maxing it a lot, right? And by min-maxing it a lot, I did also end up kind of struggling with like with that motivation thing, because like I was getting myself to do more, but this was kind of forced me to lower it down, right, and to kind of be like, okay, after a certain point you're not spinning the wheel anymore, because the things that you're doing just simply, you simply have to stop. So I think that's probably how I'm going to do it. If a catch-up gets to like around the range where it's going to be 2 hours, I will not spin the wheel again, right? If it's like before like 1 hour and 40 minutes, I'll probably spin wheels, but afterwards I'll probably call it there for an episode. Probably like if it's like pre 2 hours, I'll probably spin a wheel. Otherwise, I won't. Like I think that's probably gonna be my idea. I mean, I think in this episode the wheel spin might have been. When was the wheel spin for FLSA? I think it was when was it? That's actually a great question. I don't know, but like roughly around there might be my rule set. But anyways, again, thank you for sticking with me. I hope to be capable of performing more campus to you. Some people just got home, so I'm gonna go talk to them. But see you.